Trial resumed. Jury not present.
The court said, "Good morning. Would you make your appearances?"
Mr. Ferguson said, "Good morning, Your Honor. Micah Ferguson, Ryan Finkel, Juliana Murray, and Justin Horton will be joining us for the United States. Also joined at counsel table by our paralegal Isabel Loftus."
Ms. Shrofa said, "Good morning, Your Honor. On behalf of Miles Guo, Sabrina Shroff, Siddhartha Kumraju, John Kilgard, and Mr. Skirrick, who is behind the counsel table, as well as Ms. Tilton."
The court said, "Please be seated. All the jurors are present. We're ready to start at 9 a.m. Is there anything before that?"
Ms. Shrofa said, "Your Honor, the defense have one matter to raise, if I may. So, Your Honor, as to the pending exhibit, which is, I believe, 173, we are not able to agree to its admission because part of it is still not translated. To the extent that the government's translations were sent to us, we find them mostly acceptable. We have our check done. But there's a portion that is not yet translated, so to the extent that can get translated, we would take a different position."
Mr. Ferguson said, "Your Honor, we sent this to defense counsel at the end of the trial day. It's about a 24-page exhibit with a few different documents. It's a letter that encloses several records, including some accounting sheets and then some invoices. It's basically an accounting of the $1 million that Misley was told to keep and where she transferred it. She's an accountant, and she kept these records. She sent it as a letter to Yvette Wang. And it's signed by both Misley and Ms. Wang. The first 6 pages or so have text. We had translated 5 of the 6 pages when we sent it to defense. I flagged that the 6th page was not translated. We don't intend to show the 6th page to the jury. We're also fine to proceed with just the Mandarin version." "Your Honor, it's fine. Primarily, I want to focus on the invoices at the back of it, and the fact that it's signed by Yvette Wang and Misley. So we're happy to proceed, you know. Whatever makes the most sense, Your Honor. We don't want to just delay things. But just for further context, Your Honor, the invoices and the wire transfer records, those are all in English. They're just, you know, like business records. And that's what we want to focus on in this exhibit. You know, we don't have the 6th page translated. We can."
The court said, "Is there a reason for that?"
Mr. Ferguson said, "It's how we got it back from our translation service. They may have skipped over it as a mistake. It's what we have. I apologize for the inconvenience here, Your Honor. We can proceed with just the Mandarin version and focus on the invoices, if that seems acceptable to the court. Those portions are in English."
Ms. Shrofa said, "Your Honor, it would be improper to admit a half document because the government only plans to use certain pages. So we're happy to have that one page translated and send it to the government. Or the government can, I stopped because it looks like the court wants."
The court said, "This page needs to be translated if you want to use this document."
Mr. Ferguson said, "Your Honor, there's no rule that requires English-only documents. And the evidence in this case is a mix of Mandarin and English. And there's going to be documents that are in both Mandarin and English."
The court said, "Are you saying that you have documents that are exclusively in Mandarin that you intend to admit?"
Mr. Ferguson said, "We may. And there's certainly many documents that are a mix of Mandarin and English together."
The court said, "Well, I'm not interested in what might happen. I want to know, what is your intention? Do you intend to attempt to admit documents that are exclusively in Mandarin?"
Mr. Ferguson said, "The portions of this document that are in Mandarin, yes."
The court said, "You're not answering my question."
Mr. Ferguson said, May I have a moment, Your Honor? I can just confer briefly. I don't know exactly every single exhibit in the case."
Government counsel conferring.
Mr. Ferguson said, "We may offer some recordings, Your Honor, that have the defendant's voice that are in Mandarin for the fact that, it was him speaking. With respect to this document, the important point about the Mandarin section is just the Yvette Wang signature. Her name is spelled out, Yvette Wang, and she signed it. That's the portion from the Mandarin section we would like to highlight for the jury. That portion is all translated as well. It's the 6th page, which it just lists what the invoices are that follows. And I'm not going to, it's like a cover page for all the invoices. I'm not even going to show that to the jury or talk about it. I'm just going to look at some of the invoices, which are all in English. And if Your Honor would like, we can just redact page 6 and, proceed that way.
Ms. Strofa said, Your Honor, that presupposes that the defense would waive any argument that an incomplete document can be shown to the jury, 1. And 2, that the defense does not, under the rule of completeness, intend to use this portion of the document. It would be prejudicial to the defendant. I also just looked at my emails, Your Honor. And the government gave notice that they plan to call another witness tomorrow, so they have some time on their hands. Apparently the direct and cross of Ms. Mulan is not going to go into tomorrow all the way. So I think that the amount of time we've just gone back and forth, if we take 10 minutes at the break, I think this could be resolved. But the defense has a continuing objection to the document being admitted in some, I don't know if it's aborted or incomplete form.
The court said, wait. I'm sorry. You're saying that you think that you may reach a resolution regarding this 6th page?
Ms. Strofa said, it's just 1 page. All he has to do is get it translated. If they would agree, we could, in the break, have a Google Translate. But we have ample time. According to them, they have enough time tomorrow to call another witness, so we can take our time and get it done.
The court said, I'm not going to permit you to use a document where 1 page is missing a translation.
Mr. Ferguson said, okay, Your Honor. But if we reach agreement, for example, with Google Translate and they're fine with us offering it, is that okay with the court?
The court said, absolutely, because it does look like a list and it is a short list.
Mr. Ferguson said, yes.
The court said, so I invite you to do that. Anything else?
Mr. Ferguson said, no, Your Honor.
Ms. Strofa said, not from us, Your Honor.
The court said, all righty.
Recess.
The court said, please be seated. Would you have the jurors brought in, please?
Continued on next page. Jury present.
The court said, please be seated. Good morning, jurors.
The juror said, good morning.
The court said, I want to thank everyone for arriving on time. We're going to continue with the direct examination of the witness. Please remember that you are still under oath.
YLI resumed. Direct examination. By Mr. Ferguson.
Good morning, Ms. Lee.
Good morning, Mr. Ferguson.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, could we please publish Government Exhibit 6191, which is in evidence?
Ms. Strofa said, Your Honor, I'm not sure 191 is fully admitted.
The court said, do you need a sidebar?
Mr. Ferguson said, I don't believe so, Your Honor.
Ms. Strofa said, no, Your Honor. I think a portion of that is admitted. I think we're fine.
The court said, okay. You may inquire.
Mr. Ferguson said, thank you.
By Mr. Ferguson.
Ms. Lee, you testified yesterday about this video. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. And I'll now read actually, can we show also Government Exhibit 6192? Which I believe is also in evidence.
Ms. Strofa said, Your Honor, we do actually need a sidebar.
Mr. Ferguson said, Your Honor, it's not in evidence. I don't think we need a sidebar. We can.
Ms. Strofa said, it's not in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, either way, Your Honor, I'll admit it again if we need to. Could we show the witness, please? Government Exhibit 6192. All right. And Ms. Loftus, if we could just scroll through this.
By Mr. Ferguson.
All right. And Ms. Lee, is this a clip from the video of the YouTube page we just looked at?
Yes.
Did you watch that video at the time?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, the government offers Government Exhibit 6192, to the extent it's not already in evidence.
Ms. Shrofa said, no objection, Your Honor.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 6192 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, and also, if we could publish that, Ms. Loftus. I'm also going to read a stipulation. It's just in hard copy now. This is Government Exhibit Stip 15. And first, I guess the government offers Government Exhibit Stip 15.
The court said, are you going to read it?
Mr. Ferguson said, yes, Your Honor.
The court said, go ahead.
Mr. Ferguson said, thank you. It is hereby stipulated and agreed between the parties that in the below chart, the exhibits listed under column A contain audio or text in a foreign language. And the exhibits listed under column B are true and accurate translations of the audio or text contained in the exhibits listed under column A. And it just has GX6192 and GX6192T. So the government offers GX6192T in the Stip 15.
The court said, they're admitted.
Government's Exhibit Stip 15 and 6192T received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, Your Honor, may we publish the hard copy of GX6192T?
The court said yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, thank you. All right. Ms. Loftus, if we could please play the video.
Video played.
Mr. Ferguson said, you can pause it there. I'm just going to go ahead and read a portion, starting at 108 on the transcript. I told all the directors of the Rule of Law Fund that there are several requirements that cannot be changed. First, Guo Wangui's US $100 million will be donated to the Rule of Law Fund in proportion, and that from me was received first. I bear legal responsibility for what I said today. This is today's Rule of Law Fund. 2/3 of the cash in the account come from Guo. In other words, for every US dollar donated by fellow fighters, $2 come from Guo. After donating the $100 million, Guo is coordinating a donation of $1 billion to the Rule of Law Fund. Ms. Lee, was that one of the broadcasts you watched?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. We can take that down, Ms. Loftus. Now, Ms. Lee, when we left off yesterday, we were discussing what you did with the $1 million from the farm loan program. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Just at a high level, what did you do with that $1 million?
So Miles Guo told me pay some expenses on behalf of headquarters.
And what sort of expenses?
It's GTV IT engineering and customer service, 4G fashion.
The court said, please speak loudly and into the microphone.
The witness said, okay.
Ms. Lee, if you point the top of the microphone towards your mouth, that might help. And what was the process for how you would pay those expenses?
So for the GTV IT engineering, the guy called Ming, he's a CTO of the GTV at that time. He will send me a Excel spreadsheet about every month, how much need to pay to each person. Then according to that Excel spreadsheet, I will make invoice to them and then I will pay from that. Make a payment according to that Excel spreadsheet.
And what entity or entities did you use to make those payments?
G Translators and the TT Resources one.
Ms. Shrofa said, I'm sorry. I couldn't hear the second part of what she said.
Could you repeat the second entity?
TT Resources 1.
And what was TT Resources?
TT Resources 1 is an entity to making payment for the expenses on behalf of the headquarters.
And who created that entity?
That's me.
Who came up with the idea for creating that entity?
No, Miles Guo asked me to do this, to help him.
And Ms. Lee, these payments that you were asked to make, did you in fact make these payments?
Yes.
Did you spend any of the $1 million on yourself?
No.
Did you spend any of the $1 million on your family?
No.
Why not?
Because it's the investor's money, not my money.
With respect to the $2 million you transferred to medical supply, Do you know what ultimately happened to that money?
I don't know.
If you had known that farm loan money would be spent on Miles Guo and his family, would you have transferred the $2 million to medical supply?
Ms. Shrofa said, Your Honor.
No.
Ms. Shrofa said, This exact question has been asked and answered several times.
The court said, Overruled. You may answer.
If you had known that farm loan money would be spent on Guo personally and his family personally, would you have transferred the $2 million of farm loan money to medical supply?
No.
Ms. Lee, were there refunds from the farm loan money you received?
Yes.
And what did you typically do when a member requested refunds?
So if someone would ask me for refund, I normally will report it to Miles Guo. And he will give me some directions.
Why would you report that to Miles Guo?
Because it's his investment project.
And when you would report a refund request to Miles Guo, how would he respond?
So, depends. Depends on the supporter's attitude. If it's normal, we'll give them the refund. If the supporters public criticize him or criticize the new federal state of China, then we not refund.
And if a supporter who asked for a refund criticized the NFSC, who told you not to refund it?
Miles Guo.
Himself or through an intermediary?
Himself.
Ms. Lee, are you familiar with Himalaya dollar and Himalaya coin?
Yes.
What did Guo say Himalaya dollar and Himalaya coin were?
So Himalaya dollar and Himalaya coin are cryptocurrencies.
What did you call Himalaya coin for short?
H-coin.
What did you call Himalaya dollar for short?
HDO.
And with those, like more specifically with respect to each, what did Guo say HDO was?
HDO, 1 HDO equal $1.
And what did Guo say H-coin was?
H-coin is up and down. The price will up and down like any other cryptocurrency.
And was H-coin backed by anything, according to Guo?
It is backed by 20% gold.
Did you believe it was backed by 20% gold?
Yes.
Why did you believe that?
He said he's going to send the gold photo to us.
Did that ever happen?
No.
Around when did Guo start promoting HDO and H-coin?
2021.
Ms. Lee, what was the H-coin quota?
H-coin quota depends on how much you investment amount. You get 50% H-coin quota.
So can you explain? Can you give us an example of how that would work, Ms. Lee?
Yes. If your investment amount is 10,000, then you get 5,000 H-coin quota, and each H-coin is worth 10 cents. So you need to pay $500 to buy these 5,000 quota.
So you invested 10,000 previously. How many?
Ms. Shrofa said, Objection to the previously.
The court said, Overruled. You may continue.
You invested 10,000 previously. How many H-coins would you be eligible to buy in the H-coin book?
5,000.
And what would be the price of each of those 5,000 H-coins under the H-coin quota?
10 cents.
And how much would you have to pay for those in total?
$500.
And where would you pay that $500?
To Himalaya Exchange.
All right. Now who came up with the H-coin quota?
Miles Guo.
And around when did the H-coin quota start?
Start early 2021.
Did you participate yourself?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, can we please show the witness what's marked as Government Exhibit 6171? Ms. Lee, what is this document?
This contract to confirm my H-coin quota.
Mr. Ferguson said, Government offers Government Exhibit 6171.
The court said, Any objection?
Ms. Shrofa said, No, Your Honor.
The court said, It is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 6171 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, could we just publish it?
By Mr. Ferguson.
While we're waiting, Ms. Lee, What was this a contract for?
This contract is for my H-coin quota.
Mr. Ferguson said, and Ms. Loftus, can we blow up the top half, please? All right. Now, Ms. Lee, it says Mountains of Spices LLC at the top. What's Mountains of Spices LLC?
This New York farm, the name of the New York farm.
Were you a member of Mountains of Spices LLC?
Yes.
You were a member of Mountains of Spices?
No. Sorry. No.
Why is this contract with Mountains of Spices?
Because I'm the G translators leader, so my member will sign a similar contract with me. But because I'm the leader, I can't sign contract with myself, so the leader is signed with Mountains of Spices Farm.
And focusing on the top right, what's the date?
21st of October 2021.
And on the left there it says, name of the HF member. What's HF?
Himalaya Farm.
And what's the name here?
My name.
Mr. Ferguson said, and if we could scroll down, Ms. Loftus. So in the bold it says Himalaya Exchange. Preference and discounted H-coin rate TLE. Letter of agreement. And I'll just keep reading the paragraph there. I am pleased to inform you that, in recognition of the contributions made by you, whose full name and details appear above and below, HF member, in helping support the visions of the Himalaya Farm to achieve its missions and visions. HF has successfully procured from Himalaya Exchange.
The exchange. A favorable benefit, namely to agree to grant you, the HF member, the opportunity to subscribe 66,781 Himalaya coin, H-coin, from the exchange at a preferred and discounted rate of United States $10 per H-coin. The preference HF rate option, before the official launch of H-coin to the general public for open market trading. By Mr. Ferguson.
Ms. Lee, just for reference, when was the official launch of H-coin for trading?
1st of November 2021.
And you said this was October 21st, so this is
About a week ago, yeah.
a week before that. Okay. Let me ask you, Ms. Lee, at a high level. How were your 66,781 H-coins calculated?
It's calculate, first part is my investment amount, and second part is my volunteer work contribution. And third part is Rule of Law Foundation donation.
Mr. Ferguson said, and Ms. Loftus, if we could scroll down to page 2. All right. And I want to go to page 5, paragraph 5 there. Okay. And I'll read this. A material term of this letter of agreement is that you hereby irrevocably consent to fully and indefinitely complying with the following warranties and undertakings. You warrant and confirm that you are a member of the HF and therefore subscribe to the rules and ideology of the HF.
Subscribing HF member. By Mr. Ferguson.
Just to pause there for a moment, Ms. Lee, what are the rules and ideology of the Himalaya Farm?
So you have to, the ideology here is you have to taking down the CCP and not to cooperate with CCP. And also have to support Miles Guo, support Himalaya Alliance. And not to criticize Miles Guo and criticize new federal state of China publicly.
So part of the rules and ideology of the HF were not to criticize Miles Guo?
Ms. Shrofa said, objection to the leading, Your Honor.
The court said, Mr. Ferguson, no need to repeat her testimony.
Mr. Ferguson said, understood, Your Honor. Okay. I'll keep reading the bullets now. As a subscribing HF member, you warrant and confirm that you abide by the rules and ideology of the HF and acknowledge that you understand that the mission of the HF can only be achieved with each subscribing HF member's strict and committed adherence to the rules and ideology of the HF commitment. You warrant and understand that the offer of the preference HF rate actually. We can keep scrolling down. And if we could actually, we can go to page 3 here. This is great. So this section in bold says breach and enforcement of this letter of agreement.
By Mr. Ferguson.
Now, Ms. Lee, to get your roughly 66,000 H coins at the 10-cent rate, about how much money did you have to pay?
So about 6,000 something US dollar, yeah.
Did you pay that?
Yes.
Where?
Himalaya Exchange.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. So I'll read this. A breach of this agreement amounts to a loss of benefit to HF, which could have been allocated to another member. If HF determines with sufficient evidence that you, as the HF member, have breached any of the above warranties and undertakings, which have entitled you to benefit from the preference HF rate option, such breach shall be considered a material breach of this letter of agreement, and therefore all rights and benefits attached to the preference HF rate option which you have accrued, benefited from, or which you may become entitled to shall automatically be revoked by HF. And you hereby, if we could scroll down, please authorize and consent to notify the exchange to automatically terminate the benefit. And it says, as a result of the breach of this agreement, HF can take any necessary legal action, whether, and the third line from the bottom there says, or the fourth, that including instructing the exchange to undertake a forced liquidation of all the H coins purchased by you. And it says, by signing this agreement, you consent to a liquidation of all H coins purchased by you. If we could scroll down. And paragraph 10 refers to recoverable sums. Ms. Loftus, if we could go to, I'm sorry. Scroll up slightly. Thank you.
By Mr. Ferguson.
Ms. Lee, what did you understand this contract to say about breaching? What happens if you breach the contract?
If you breach the contract, so the Himalaya Alliance have the right to take back all your H coins.
And under what circumstances would they be allowed to take back your H coins?
If you breach the contract, which is you're doing something against Miles Guo and Miles Guo's movement and the new federal state of China.
And what did Miles Guo call people who did that?
CCP spy or traitor.
Mr. Ferguson said, if we could scroll down, please, you can go to page 6. All right. Ms. Lee, who signed this agreement?
Me and Xia Qidong.
Can you remind us of his other name?
Brother Long Island, Chengdao.
Mr. Ferguson said, thank you, Ms. Loftus. We can take this down. Ms. Lee, in addition to buying H-Coin yourself, what, if anything, did you do to help other supporters participate in the H-Coin quota?
I used my farm company to help Japan Farm and New York Farm to buy H-Coin.
And why?
And also my own farm members, yeah.
Why did you have to help the Japan Farm and the US Farm to buy H-Coin quota?
Because that time, Himalaya Exchange is not available in Japan, New York, America, and Canada.
You said you used a company. Which company of yours was used to receive and send farm money?
HAA Group.
Why did you use HAA Group for the other farm's money?
Oh, because this company is in Australia and it's not a G translator. I want to separate.
What did you use G translators for with the H-Coin quota?
It's for my farm members.
Now, by the way, Ms. Lee, what did Miles Guo say about whether he owned H-Coins?
He owned nothing. He and his family owned no any H-Coin.
What did he say about whether he owned the Himalaya Exchange?
Nothing.
All right. Now, Ms. Lee.
No any interest.
Ms. Lee, remind us, when did the Himalaya Exchange officially launch?
1st of November 2021.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Lee. To go back briefly.
Yes.
The money you received from the New York and Japan farms, how much money did you receive?
About 5 million.
And where did you send that money?
Hamilton Fund.
And why did you send it to Hamilton Fund?
I was told to send it to Hamilton Fund.
And what was your understanding of the connection, if any, between Hamilton Fund and the Himalaya Exchange?
Hamilton Fund is an institutional investor to Himalaya Exchange.
So what was your understanding of what would happen with the $5 million you sent to the Hamilton Fund?
They were going to buy H-Coin for us.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Lee. You said the official launch was November 1st, 2021. According to the Himalaya Exchange website, what happened to the price of Hcoin after it launched?
After launch, it increased quickly.
How quickly?
Like in 1 week, it reached about $20 a dollar, and the highest price can reach about $55.
And so the highest price was $55?
Yes.
Ms. Shrofa said, "Objection, Your Honor, to Mr. Ferguson testifying."
Mr. Ferguson said, "I'm just trying to get to the question, Your Honor. I'll try and do it more quickly."
The court said, go ahead.
So what was the price that you bought the Hcoin?
10 cents.
And remind us, approximately how many Hcoins did you have from the Hcoin quota?
About 60,000.
And remind us, about how much did you pay for that?
6,000.
And when the price was $55, if I can ask you to do math, approximately what was the value of your Hcoins?
About 3 million.
Ms. Lee, what was the Hcoin lockup?
Around the 20th of November, Miles Guo said everyone need to lock up our Hcoin for 3 years. And lock up 90% our Hcoin for 3 years.
And how would everyone's Hcoin or 90% of the Hcoin be locked up?
So we will fill a form from Himalaya Exchange and send it back to Himalaya Exchange, and our coin will be transferred to a company called FMV. The FMV account.
What did FMV stand for?
Freedom Media Ventures.
And what was FMV or Freedom Media Ventures?
That's a company for new GTV.
We'll talk about that, but who, to your understanding, controlled FMV?
Miles Guo.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, if we could please show the witness what's marked as Government Exhibit 6181. And if we could just scroll through it quickly. Ms. Lee, what's this video?
This is Miles Guo's broadcast.
Did you watch it at the time?
Yes. 6181.
Mr. Ferguson said, government offers government exhibit.
Ms. Shrofa said, "Your Honor, I have one question before voir dire examination."
By Ms. Shrofa.
Ms. Lee, you watched it at the time of what?
Of this broadcast.
What year?
2021.
Ms. Shrofa said, "Thank you. I have no objection, Your Honor."
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 6181 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, we can go ahead and play it, please.
Video played.
Mr. Ferguson said, okay. Ms. Loftus, if we can pull up the translation, Government Exhibit 6, sorry. Pursuant to the stipulation, Your Honor, government offers Government Exhibit 6181T.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 6181T received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, if we could pull that up, please, Ms. Loftus. All right. And if we can zoom in on the text, please.
By Mr. Ferguson.
All right. Ms. Lee, what was the date of this broadcast?
It's 1st of December 2021.
Mr. Ferguson said, and I'll go ahead and read the text.
Ms. Shrofa said, "Your Honor, I apologize. May I just confer with the government for a minute?"
The court said you may.
Counsel conferring.
Ms. Shrofa said, "Thank you, Your Honor."
Mr. Ferguson said, we can publish that, please, Ms. Loftus. So I'll read the text. It says, many comrades in arms ask about holding the Hcoins on behalf, and many people send messages. But I can't reply one by one. I now ask my little fan sister to send one. I asked a question on behalf of many comrades in arms. These days everyone has been concerning the SUA coins.
SUA is lockup coins.
Concerning the lockup coins. Now one question.
Ms. Shrofa said, "Sorry, Your Honor. I missed what she said. Lock up."
The court said, Ms. Lee, what is SUA coins?
The witness said, yes, SUA is Chinese. That's meaning.
The court said, low cap?
Mr. Ferguson said, lockup.
The witness said, lock up Hcoin.
Mr. Ferguson said, Now one question is that the alliance said that GTV company helps everyone hold money. But the name of the company at Himalaya Exchange which sent emails to us is different from the company name of our GTV reconstruction project. Which of the two companies, Freedom Media and Virtual Ltd., is our GTV company? Can the comrades in arms feel relieved to sign the email sent by the Himalaya Exchange? First, the documents given by the Himalaya Exchange can be signed with ease. Second, the new GTV company, called FMV, is the general nominal shareholder. I will also tell you that, for any single coin you lost, Brother 7 will be responsible. For any documents given to you by the Himalaya Exchange and the Alliance, Brother 7 will be fully responsible.
By Mr. Ferguson.
Ms. Lee, what's your understanding of what Guo was discussing here?
So when supporters ask the questions concern about the name of the new entity, is that should we send the coin to there? So Miles Guo confirmed, yes. We can send the coin to that FMV because that's a new GTV company. And also, he guaranteed the H coin. You won't lost any coin. If you lost everything, he's responsible.
Ms. Lee, at this time did you know who the directors of FMV were?
No.
Did there come a time when you learned who the director or directors of FMV were?
Yes.
Who?
The name is Hrn.
Could you please spell that for the court reporter?
Hrn.
And how did you learn Hrn was the director of FMV?
Because one day the lawyer sent me a document to sign. The document showing Hrn is the director of FMV.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, can we please show the witness what's marked as Government Exhibit 634? Ms. Lee, what's this document?
So this is an email the lawyer sent to me, asked me to sign the document.
Mr. Ferguson said, Government offers Government Exhibit 634.
The court said, no objection.
Ms. Shrofa said, no, Your Honor.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 634 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, could we publish, Ms. Loftus? And Ms. Loftus, we can start down at the last page, please. Now can you scroll up one, next page?
By Mr. Ferguson.
Okay. Ms. Lee, you said this was the email the lawyer sent you?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, can we blow up the text in the bottom email? What's the date of this email on the top left?
10th of September 2022.
And who is it from?
It's from Charisse Archibald.
And who is that?
It's a BVI lawyer.
Mr. Ferguson said, and I'll read the body. It says, Hi, Mulan. I trust you are doing well. I am attaching a resolution appointing you as an authorized representative to operate the Himalaya Exchange Wallet for Freedom Media Ventures Limited. Can you kindly insert your signature into the attached document next to your name? Thanks in advance. If we could scroll up. And just the next email, please.
By Mr. Ferguson.
Okay. And Ms. Lee, could you read your response, please?
I said, Hi Charisse, I couldn't find my name anywhere in the document. Could you please check it again? Thank you.
Mr. Ferguson said, and Ms. Loftus, let's go the top, please, of that email. No, the next one, please. Thank you. All right. And she writes back, Dear Mulan, I do apologize for this. Please disregard the previous email. Ms. Loftus. Can we now show the witness only what's marked as Government Exhibit 635?
By Mr. Ferguson.
All right. Ms. Lee, is this the attachment to the email?
Yes. 635.
Mr. Ferguson said, Government offers Government Exhibit.
The court said, no objection.
Ms. Shrofa said, no, Your Honor.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 635 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, could you please publish? And Ms. Loftus, we're going to zoom in on the top portion.
By Mr. Ferguson.
Okay. Ms. Lee, do you see at the top in bold center it says, Written Resolution of the Sole Direct? Freedom Media Ventures Ltd., the company?
Yes.
And then I'll read the next line, where it just says, I, Hao Renhe, being the sole director of the company. Where was this company incorporated?
BVI.
And the name Hao Renhe, is that the person you referenced earlier?
Yes.
And in Chinese, do you typically give the last name first?
Yes, we call he Haoren.
So with Hao Renhe, what is the last name there?
He.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Lee. Mr. Ferguson said, so if we could, I'll read the whereas. It says, whereas, Himalaya Exchange, the exchange, is a crypto ecosystem that provides financial services, crypto expertise and credibility with a regulated, transparent and secure crypto exchange. It says, the company has an existing account with the exchange, the account, for the purpose of online virtual trading. The account is held and managed through a virtual trading platform. It says, the company desires to remove and replace Alexandros Hadjikaralambas, who was appointed on October 31, 2021, as the company's authorized representative of the account held with the exchange. The company therefore recommends Hao Tian be appointed as its new authorized representative to access, operate, and manage its account held with the exchange, as may be instructed by the company from time to time. Ms. Lee, who is Hao Tian?
Hao Tian is one of the supporter.
What did she do? Mr. Ferguson said, you could scroll down, Ms. Loftus, too.
She used to be the director of G Fashion.
The court said, of what?
The witness said, of G Fashion.
Mr. Ferguson said, and Ms. Loftus, we could just blow up the signature line there. All right. And who is listed as the sole director for this document?
He Haoren.
And sole director of what company?
Of Freedom Media Ventures, FMV.
Before receiving this document, Ms. Lee, had you ever heard of him?
No.
What was, to your knowledge, what was Hao Renhe's role in the movement?
I don't know.
What's your understanding of who he is?
Ms. Shrofa said, her understanding today, her understanding back then?
What's your understanding today?
He's one of the family member of Miles Guo.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, we can take it down. Ms. Lee, did there come a time when you helped supporters invest in what you described yesterday as the digital bank project?
Yes.
What was that investment project?
Digital bank is Miles Guo. This is an investment project exclusively to the supporters. This investment will buy a digital bank.
Approximately when was money being raised for the digital bank project?
About early 2022.
And what did you do to help people invest in digital bank?
So Miles Guo asked me to set up a fund in Australia and in Himalaya Alliance. The members who want to invest to digital bank, they can come to my fund and that way we'll invest together.
What was the name of your fund?
Ashwood.
Who promoted the digital bank investment?
Miles Guo.
What did Guo say about it?
This very good investment opportunity. It's very rare opportunity. And we'll have a good investment return, and also can get another digital bank. Also another betting company's license, but later the betting license is being taken off.
What, if anything, did Guo say about using H-Coin to invest in digital bank?
No. Miles Guo said for this investment, you can't sell your H-Coin to invest.
So how could you invest?
You have to pay US dollar.
Ms. Lee, how much money did you raise in your fund Ashwood? Or how much money was sent to your fund Ashwood?
About 8 million.
And how many supporters invested?
About 55 members.
Where did you send that money?
Hamilton Fund.
When did you send that money?
About April 2022.
And after you sent the $8 million of supporter money, what happened after that?
Nothing happened, and then in around July 2022, I asked Wei Lin Jen, PH, how is the progress? And Wei Lin Jen said they're still doing some paperwork with authorities and we have to wait. But he said our money is safe, not being used, all the expenses is other investors' money.
Ms. Lee, to your knowledge, was a bank or two banks and a betting website ever actually purchased?
No.
Ms. Lee, what was the card program?
Card program is if you buy G Club's card, so you get same amount of GTV share.
What kind of card was it?
G Club's card.
And approximately when was the G Club's card program being offered?
In the early 2021.
Was there a farm loan component to the card program?
Yes. Because G Club's cards start from 10,000 and on to 50,000, so if your investment is less than 10,000, can go to the farm loan program.
And was there a minimum through using the farm loan program for G Club's cards?
That's 10,000.
Ms. Lee, who promoted the card program?
Miles Guo.
And what did he say?
He said if you buy the G Club's card so you can get the same amount of shares.
The court said, shares in what?
The witness said, GTV shares.
Ms. Lee, are you familiar with a company called Crane?
I heard from Miles Guo's broadcast.
And what was Crane?
Crane is a company to receiving the card program, receiving the money from the card program.
And to your understanding, why wasn't current program money sent to G Clubs directly?
That at that time the G Club's card, G Club's company bank account have some problems.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, if we could show the witness what's marked as Government Exhibit 655. I'm sorry. 6155. Ms. Loftus, if we could just scroll a little bit. All right. Ms. Lee, what's this video?
This is a Miles Guo's broadcast.
And did you watch this broadcast at the time?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Government offers Government Exhibit 6155.
The court said, no objection?
Ms. Shrofa said, one question, Your Honor. Voir dire examination.
By Ms. Shrofa.
Ms. Lee, what month and year did you watch this video for the first time?
It's in
I'm sorry?
2021.
What month?
I can't remember.
Did you watch it again with the prosecutor in his office?
Yes.
Ms. Shrofa said, I have no objection, Your Honor.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 6155 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, okay, Ms. Loftus, we can go back and publish and play some of this video.
Video played.
Mr. Ferguson said, let's pause there. And Ms. Loftus, if we could first just show the parties and the witness Government Exhibit 6155T. And if we could scroll down. And if we could zoom on that, please, Ms. Loftus. The government offers Government Exhibit 6155T.
Ms. Shrofa said, no objection.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 6155T received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Ms. Loftus, if we could zoom out and publish it, please. You can scroll to the top.
By Mr. Ferguson.
Ms. Lee, what's the date listed here?
It's
Does it say August 3rd, 2021?
March 8th sorry. It's March.
Ms. Shrofa said, Your Honor, will stipulate that the document.
The 8th of March 2021.
Mr. Ferguson said, okay. You can scroll down. All right. And if we could zoom on just the text, just the statement text. Please. I can read the text. It says, okay, brothers and sisters, today due to time constraints, GTV. I talked about 50%, then for the time I have for these 2 days. I am going to talk about G Club and G Fashion. Completely different from what you think. Before I talk, I want to tell you guys, for G Fashion, up until now, $25 million to $30 million have been invested, there is no returns. How much does G Club sell? About $250 million. It's like about 10% plus has been research and development in. It has nothing to do with you. G Club, 25,000 cards, there are 25,000 people in it. Everyone needs to remember. Now everyone knows that the gift which is given to you exceeds your original worth, value. The most, you give 50,000 or 100,000. Buy 2 or 3 cards. I would like to tell everyone, whoever buys the cards this year after May, after March. It's that one, remitting to Crane, all of your you want card, and I'm sorry. Remitting to Crane. Ms. Lee, is that company you referenced earlier?
Yes.
And it says, you want card or you want stocks. For people who wants card, you need to pay the management fee. It's okay if you don't want the card. So you don't have to pay for the management fee. You can just have the stocks. However, but you have to get the card first. After you get the card for 1 year, you don't want to pay the management fee. Then the card will be automatically cancelled. Then for that card can't be transferred because it is issued to you. It can't be transferred. However, it can be inherited. It can't be transferred. It's all up to you to decide. However, for those who bought the cards originally, we call those official card buyers, those can be inherited and can be transferred. However, for these 2 cards, you can't return for any reason. It's like the original normal cards, they can't be returned. Moreover, what is this card going to do in the future? I am going to tell everyone again. G Club will be a pass for future finance of the G series and all the and comrades the whistleblower revolution to go out into the world in the future. And it is also the predecessor of the future new China Federation passport. Strictly speaking, it's the earliest identification card of the new China Federation. Ms. Lee, the line where he says buy 2 or 3 cards, what's your understanding of what buying 2 or 3 cards was referring to?
So if your investment is higher than 50,000, so you can buy multiple cards to match your investment amount.
What do you mean by that?
So for example, you can buy 50,000 card, or you can buy 2 of them, then your investment amount is 100,000.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, we can take this down. Ms. Lee, did your farm collect money for the card program or the component loan program?
Yes.
Ms. Shrofa said, objection to the term component loan program. There's been no testimony about that.
The court said, sustained.
Approximately how much did you collect?
About 200,000 in total.
And which entity collected the money?
HAA Group.
What happened to that money?
Then we've been told to send it to HCHK.
And who told you?
Brother Island Changdao.
And to your understanding, who gave instructions to Brother Island Changdao?
Miles Guo.
What was the company you sent it to?
HCHK Technology.
What was your understanding of what that company was?
That's one of Miles Guo's headquarter company.
Did you know anything else about it at that time?
No, nothing.
At the time you sent that money, did you have a loan agreement with HCHK?
No.
Did you have any contract with HCHK?
No.
Did you later receive some kind of contract with HCHK?
No.
Did you later receive a different agreement with respect to that transfer?
Yes.
And when did you receive that agreement?
About a year later.
And could you please explain what that agreement was?
That agreement is we signed with the New Zealand farm, and the New Zealand farm will sign with HCHK on behalf of all other farms. Because we've been told HCHK can't sign with every farm, it's too much.
And had you sent money to the New Zealand farm?
No.
Ms. Lee, what was your understanding of what the 200,000 you sent to HCHK was going to be used for?
It's for investment for GTV shares.
Did you or your farm receive GTV shares for that money?
No.
Did you or your farm receive interest payments for that money?
No.
By the way, Ms. Lee, for each $1 invested in the card program, how many shares did Miles Guo say an investor would get?
For the new GTV, you can get 10 shares, so $1, you get 10 shares of new GTV shares.
And did you get 10 shares for each $1?
No.
Now, Ms. Lee, did you purchase any G-Clubs cards?
Yes.
How many?
1. Sorry, 2.
When did you purchase the first one?
Around April 2021.
And how did you pay for that?
HDO.
And remind us what HDO is.
HDO is 1 HDO equal $1. It's one of the cryptocurrency in Himalaya exchange.
And how much did you pay for your G-Clubs card?
50,000 HDO.
Why did you buy that card in April 2021?
Because G-Club's card is our ID in new federal state of China.
Who said that?
Miles Guo.
Turning to the second card, when did you buy the second card?
Around July 2022.
And how did you pay for that card?
Because one of my farm member want to refund the G-Club's card, so I buy from him.
And did you pay with HDO or US dollars?
US dollar. I sent it to another member.
And how much was that card?
10,000.
And who did you send the 10,000 US dollars to?
To the supporters who wanted refund.
And could you please explain actually, withdrawn? Who, if anyone, did you discuss that refund with?
With Miles Guo.
And what did he say to you about that refund request?
He said that time, don't refund, because that member really betrayed us. Start publicly criticize Miles Guo and go to the traders broadcast.
Why did you send him a refund anyway?
Because he's one of the member of my G translators and he's worked before. It's very hard. So I feel I have responsibility to refund to him.
Now so you sent him the $10,000. What happened with the G-Clubs card he had bought?
So his card transferred to my name.
Ms. Lee, you mentioned the new GTV and FMV earlier. How were supporters, or what did Miles Guo say about how supporters could invest in FMV?
So FMV, so you need to send the US dollar to Himalaya exchange to buy the HDO. Then send the HDO to FMV account with Himalaya exchange.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, if we could show the witness what's marked as Government Exhibit 665. Ms. Lee, what is this document?
This is a new GTV contract.
Mr. Ferguson said, Government offers Government Exhibit 665.
The court said, no objection.
Ms. Strofa said, Your Honor, may I have a quick question?
The court said yes.
Voir dire examination. By Ms. Schrofa.
Ms. Lee, did you ever read this document?
No, I just signed.
Ms. Strofa said, No objection, Your Honor.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 665 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Ms. Loftus, could we publish, please?
By Mr. Ferguson.
All right. Ms. Lee, do you see in the center in red text it says amended as at February 16, 2022?
Yes.
If we could please go, let me ask you, Ms. Lee, were you sent this document?
From email.
And why were you sent this document?
Ms. Strofa said, Objection.
What's your understanding of why you were sent this document?
Because this new GTV, so we start to sign the new GTV share purchase contract.
The court said, and by we, what do you mean?
The witness said, we means our supporters.
Mr. Ferguson said, if we could go to page 2, Ms. Loftus. Is there an objection? Okay. I'll read the first 2 sentences.
Ms. Strofa said, Your Honor, may we have a sidebar?
The court said, okay.
Ms. Strofa said, Thank you.
At the sidebar.
Ms. Strofa said, Your Honor, she testified that she never read the document. There's no question to pose about the document itself because she never read it. And the only thing that matters to this jury is whether or not she read it back then, whether or not she relied on it back then, and what her reliance is. If she never read it, there's nothing to ask her about.
The court said, so are you saying that she can't authenticate it because she didn't read it?
Ms. Strofa said, no. I'm objecting to him questioning her about the document. She cannot testify because she never read it.
The court said, so you agree that it's admissible?
Mr. Ferguson said, it's in evidence.
Ms. Strofa said, we didn't object.
The court said, okay. It's admitted. So are you going to ask her questions about what she understood at the time? Or where are you going?
Mr. Ferguson said, Your Honor, we're allowed to review a document in evidence with a witness. That was the entirety of Mr. Medrano's testimony. He didn't invest or anything. And this document was sent to her. We're going to look through it together to show the document to the jury.
Ms. Strofa said, we can't look through it together. She's not an expert witness. She is not a summary witness. She's a fact witness, Your Honor.
The court said, so any document in evidence can be read aloud by any witness.
Ms. Strofa said, no, I think that there has to be a relevance issue. Nothing that she would testify to today is relevant. The only relevance to this document is if she says, I relied on it to make my investment.
Mr. Ferguson said, the relevance is not even an element.
Ms. Strofa said, I haven't finished. So if you...
The court said, so it's relevant because she was involved in the investment?
Mr. Ferguson said, yeah, and this was sent to her.
Ms. Strofa said, and she never read it. That's why...
The court said, I'll permit the questions.
Mr. Ferguson said, thank you.
Continued on next page. In open court.
The court said, overruled.
By Mr. Ferguson.
Ms. Lee, I'll read the first two sentences. It says, this revised confidential information memorandum is intended for discussion purposes with select parties interested in evaluating an opportunity to invest capital into Freedom Media Ventures Ltd. The company.
The interpreter said, Counsel, if you can slow down.
Sure. The company is a newly formed business company incorporated in the British Virgin Islands on June 15, 2021. And, Ms. Loftus, could you blow up the third paragraph? Here it says, neither the company, True Horizon Ltd.
The company's parent company, and it continues. Ms. Lee, what is True Horizon Ltd.?
I don't know.
Had you heard of that besides reading it here?
No.
If we could go to page 9, please. And if we could zoom on phase 2. You see it says in the second line, Ms. Lee, for equivalent amount of Himalaya dollars, defined as $H per share.
Yes.
What do you understand that to mean?
So you can invest this by $H.
And we could zoom out. If we could go to page 11. I'm sorry, Ms. Loftus. Can we go back to page 9 really quick? I apologize. So if we could blow up the first paragraph under preferred investor pricing. I'll read this paragraph. In addition to the common shares offered to qualified investors in this offering, the company intends to offer common shares to a group of investors who have previously supported similar media ventures. The whistleblower movement and the company's mission statement, defined as individual investors, who will have the opportunity to purchase up to 10 common shares at a price of $1 per share up to a total of 15 billion shares or equivalent amount of Himalaya dollar per share as successfully procured on the Himalaya exchange. Ms. Lee, according to this document, how many shares would you get for $1 or $1 H?
20 shares.
Let's now go to page 11. Ms. Loftus. If we could blow up the second half under Board of Directors and the sponsor. Now, Ms. Lee, under composition. Do you see it says, currently one executive director has been appointed. And the company will invite up to an additional 4 independent directors. Do you see that?
Yes.
Let's zoom out and let's go to the next page. Who is the one executive director in this document?
Yvette 1.
And under non-executive directors, could you read the first name there?
Aaron Mitchell.
Who is Aaron Mitchell?
He's the one of the lawyers of Miles Guo.
And beneath that it says John A. Morgan. Did you ever talk to John A. Morgan?
No.
If we could scroll down. Those three people are the executive and non-executives listed in this document, right?
Yes.
Ms. Lee, you testified earlier about being sent a document that showed the sole director of FMV. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And in that document you were sent by email, who was the sole director of that FMV?
He Harun.
Is he Harun listed in this document?
No.
Ms. Loftus, can we please show the witness what's marked as Government Exhibit 6-116? Ms. Lee? What's this document?
This is share purchase agreement.
For FMV?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, the government offers Government Exhibit 6-116.
Ms. Strofa said, Ms. Lee, did you ever read this document?
The witness said, when I receive, I just sign where I need to sign.
Ms. Strofa said, so the answer is no?
The witness said, no.
Ms. Strofa said, the first time that you read it with this prosecutor, correct?
The witness said, correct.
Ms. Strofa said, in this office, correct?
The witness said, yes.
Ms. Strofa said, I have no objection.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 6-116 received in evidence. By Mr. Ferguson.
Ms. Lee, did you provide this document to the government?
Yes.
Can we publish Government Exhibit 6-116? Ms. Loftus? If we can scroll a little bit, if we can scroll to the bottom. Ms. Loftus? Let's just show the witness another document, Government Exhibit 6-115. Ms. Lee, what's this document?
This is Notice of Share Option Grant.
For FMV?
Yes, FMV for the new GTV shares.
Did you sign this document?
Yes. 6-115.
Mr. Ferguson said, government offers Government Exhibit.
Ms. Strofa said, Ms. Lee, did you read this document before you met with the prosecutors?
The witness said, yes.
Ms. Strofa said, in what year did you read it?
The witness said, 2022.
Ms. Strofa said, I have no objection, Your Honor.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 6-115 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, if we could publish, please. Ms. Loftus, why don't we blow up the top half while we're waiting? Ms. Lee? At the top here it says Freedom Media Ventures Ltd. and then Notice of Share Option Grant. Do you see that?
Yes.
What's the date here?
8th of March 2022.
Whose name is listed?
That's me.
Beneath that it says you have been granted an option to purchase common shares of Freedom Media Ventures Ltd. as follows. And I'll skip down to the details of grant. It says, purchase price of $1 of up to 10 common shares in the company. What was the total number of shares you were being granted, Ms. Lee?
1 million.
And beneath that, how much did you have to pay to get that 1 million in shares?
100,000.
And if we could scroll down. Did you sign this document?
Yes.
Did you ever receive a countersigned copy?
No.
Now, did you ever get FMV shares?
No. This new GTV stopped, so we couldn't finish this project.
What did Miles Guo say about why it stopped?
Because GTV being shut down.
And when did the GTV platform shut down?
Around July 2021, around that time.
Ms. Strofa said, did she say 2021?
If we could scroll up to the top of the document.
Around 2022, sorry.
Ms. Lee, after new GTV shutdown, what was the next platform?
We call the new platform.
What was AIAI?
AIAI is a new platform name.
Who came up with that name?
I don't know, but this Miles Guo said in a broadcast, so we know this name.
When did Miles Guo announce the new platform as AI?
Around July, August 2022.
Did this new platform ever actually come into existence?
No, it failed.
What, if anything, did Guo say about why it failed?
He said in the broadcast because investors think this no good. They don't want to invest in this platform.
Ms. Lee, what was A15?
A15 is after this new platform failed. It's the next investment project called A15.
What did Guo say A15 was?
A15 means we can get 5% of a Getter share, 5% of G Club share and 5% of Himalaya Exchange share.
You mentioned Getter. At a high level, what was Getter?
Getter is social media platform.
And to your understanding, who created Getter?
Miles Guo.
Ms. Lee, when did A15 start, or when did Guo start promoting A15?
About October 2022.
And what, if anything, did Guo say about why you were doing A15 there?
Because AI project failed.
Ms. Loftus, can we show the witness what's marked as Government Exhibit 6-114? Ms. Lee, what's this document?
This A15's contract.
Were you sent this document?
Yes.
Did you read it carefully at the time?
No.
Mr. Ferguson said, the government offers Government Exhibit 6-114.
Ms. Shrofa said, Ms. Lee, did you read it at all at that time?
The witness said, no.
Ms. Shrofa said, and you relied on none of the information in that document, correct? You had all of the information in that document at that time, correct?
Mr. Ferguson said, Your Honor, it's not cross-examination.
The witness said, no.
The court said, these questions are better for cross-examination.
Ms. Shrofa said, I just wanted to make sure she didn't read it at that time.
The court said, so there's no objection to it being admitted, correct?
Ms. Shrofa said, well, I had the pending question because she didn't read it. She didn't have any access to that information.
Mr. Ferguson said, that's not a basis for admission, Your Honor.
The court said, the document is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 6-114 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, thank you, Your Honor. If we could please publish it, Ms. Loftus. Ms. Lee, while we're waiting, what were the ways one could invest in A15?
So they can use US dollar and HDO and also can through buy G Club card.
Looking at the document, you see it says subscription documents up top. And beneath that it says Ampleforth Capital Ltd. You see that?
Yes.
What is Ampleforth Capital Ltd?
This is company for receiving A15 investment money.
You mentioned a few ways you could invest?
Yes.
Which of those ways would you use Ampleforth Capital Ltd?
Only for US dollar investment.
Actually, we can take this down, Ms. Loftus. Now, Ms. Lee, you said A15 started in October 2022. How long did A15 last?
Last about 3 months.
What, if anything, did Guo say about why it stopped?
Not stopped, it just replaced by A10.
And what did Guo say A10 was?
So A10 is 5% of Getra and the 5% of Himalaya Exchange, so no more G Club.
And what did Guo say about why there was no more G Club in this investment?
Because if they put G Club there, so members' information need to be public. So they don't want members' information being public.
Ms. Loftus, if we could show the witness what's marked as Government Exhibit 6-160. Ms. Lee, just to clarify. Around when did Guo start promoting A10?
January 2023.
Is the exhibit on your screen now, Ms. Lee?
Yes.
What is this video?
This Miles was broadcast.
What's the date of this video?
February 11, 2023.
Did you watch this broadcast at the time?
Yes. 6-160.
Mr. Ferguson said, government offers government exhibit
Ms. Shrofa said, "No objection, Your Honor."
The court said, "It is admitted."
Government's Exhibit 6-160 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, "Ms. Loftus, let's publish, and we'll play the video."
Media played.
Mr. Ferguson said, "Ms. Loftus, we can stop there." Ms. Lee, do you recognize the people in this video?
Yes.
Who are they?
Miles, Guo, and Fei Fei.
Who is Fei Fei?
Fei Fei is one of the supporters, and she's also member of Iron Blood Group.
Mr. Ferguson said, "The government offers pursuant to Stip 10 the translation Government Exhibit 6-160T.
Ms. Shrofa said, "No objection."
The court said, "If is admitted."
Government's Exhibit 6-160T received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, "If we could publish, Ms. Loftus." I'll go ahead and read the text. It says, "You know this card, ask about this project. Do you know what the concept is? For the project of this card, the original A0 project was called A15. A15 became A10 because 5% of G Club shares were lost due to you. But what did you get, you know? Beyond the expectation of the comrades, any of you, if you invest in A10, you'll hold the same card, which need not be paid. Similarly, if you use the card, you can own the same stock. You don't have to pay anymore. Right? In fact, you are not investing in the A10 project. You are strictly speaking investing in an enlarged version of A15. In what situation does this put the investors of G Club? We didn't attach information. But you own G Club without a cent. If I say that I am not stupid, I'm not a fool, and I've invested 1 million. And I can get a card of 1 million from G Club. And I'm also an equity owner, the identical shares. I get the shares and card. I hold both of them without any risk. You used to buy a pig, right? How much was the meat per kilo? Now it's a pig that brings you a group of pigs, right? Whether you buy the pig feet or the pig head, you have a group of pigs following you. Comrades, no one of you said that you wanted to invest, but actually you're investing and get cards for free. You take the cards and get the shares for free. Isn't that better than A15? And, Ms. Lee, could you read the Fei Fei text?
Everyone is happy to get a card. Everyone is happy to get a card.
No, you don't understand the core. Many people say, why did it become A15 and then A10? That stock is. G Club is not profitable at present. You can only receive the 5% annual salary. You can get it and the so-called profit in the future. But once you get the card, it's 100% your interest. And you get the shares. I get a card of 1 million, as well as 1 million shares. In addition, I also get the 5%. How could such a good thing happen? You can offer a discount. There's another thing I'll tell you. What is the most important thing about the card? Now, whether the card or the shares, you can get both. You can own the card and you can have the shares. I don't think many people understand the significance of G Club card. This is also when we can stop there. Ms. Lee, what do you understand Guo to be talking about here?
He's talking about the A10. A10 is better than A15 because when you investment to A10, you also get the same amount of G Club card kind of for free.
And what was the price of G Club cards being offered at the time of A10?
So that time there's a new, we call it new G Club. They get 2 more level of the card. One is 500,000. One is 1 million.
So how much would you have to pay to get these cards?
50 million.
Ms. Shrofa said, "Objection to the form of the question."
The court said, "Overruled. You may answer."
Just take them one by one. How much would you have to pay to get those 2 new cards?
So for 500,000 card, you need to pay 500,000, but you also get a 10 500,000 shares. If 1 million card, you get 1 million card G Club card, you get the same A10 share for 1 million.
The court said, 1 million what?
The witness said, 1 million of A10 shares if you buy 1 million card. Or you buy 1 million A10 shares, you can get the 1 million G Club card for free.
So to participate in A10 as an investor, what were the ways you could do that?
So they also have 3 ways. Yes, you can have 3 ways. You can pay US dollar. You can pay by HDO. You can buy G Club card.
Ms. Lee, at the time of A10, where would you send money, send US dollars to buy a G Club card?
To Abu Dhabi.
Why would you send it to Abu Dhabi?
Because new G Club company established in Abu Dhabi.
And around when was this new G Club company established in Abu Dhabi?
Around end of 2022.
Ms. Loftus, if we could show the witness what's marked as Government Exhibit 6-189. Ms. Lee, what's this video?
It's Miles Guo's broadcast.
What was the date of this broadcast?
8th of February 2023.
Did you watch this broadcast at the time?
Yes. 6-189.
Mr. Ferguson said, government offers government exhibit.
Ms. Shrofa said, no objection.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 6-189 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, let's publish and play some.
Media played.
Mr. Ferguson said, we can pause there. The government offers the translations Government Exhibit 6-189T.
Ms. Shrofa said, no objection.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 6-189T received in evidence. By Mr. Ferguson.
Can you please publish that, Ms. Loftus? We can zoom in on the text. I'll go ahead and read the text. Ms. Lee. It says, the card project. Bear in mind, the new card has nothing to do with the original G Club. It is a completely independent G Club company established in Abu Dhabi. But it is also a G Club of the whistleblowing revolution, and it has the same benefits and functions. It has 2 kinds. The 500,000 card and the 1 million card. It will be on shelf in 3 weeks. About 3 weeks, 3 weeks to 4 weeks. The 500,000 card and the 1 million card. All the discounts enjoyed by G Fashion, your benefits and any future honors of G Clubs. Including the position in the New China Alliance. Including the 1-to-1 shares of A10 if you buy the card are all the same with the card and the share. Similarly, if you invest in A10, you are unconditionally receive a card with the same amount. Is it generous enough? It is impossible that half of Brother 7 say this today. And another half of me go to Japan to see the Grassroots Brother, or half of me went to Los Angeles to see the Mr. Lee. It is impossible. I must go to Japan in my whole flash or go to Los Angeles in my whole flash because G Club and A10 are inseparable. So brothers and sisters, please remember that buying the card means owning the A10 project with 5% stakes. And buying the stake means automatically owning the card. It's just like you have 2 doors to go home. Either you enter the front door or the back door, you will still back home. It is so simple. It is not just entering the front door and the back door. Walking through the Digwa card of the G Club or walking through the front door are all the same. Ms. Lee, what did you understand him to be referring to here?
So here Miles will introduce a new G Club company in Abu Dhabi under the 2 new level of the G Club. The membership, which is 500,000 and 1 million, and also the relationship with G Club card and A10 project. So you can get both.
Ms. Loftus, if we can show the witness what's marked as Government Exhibit 6-190. Ms. Lee, what's this video?
This Miles was broadcast.
Is this another clip from the same broadcast?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, the government offers Government Exhibit 6-190.
The court said, any objection?
Ms. Shrofa said, no, Your Honor.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 6-190 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, we can play a little bit, Ms. Loftus.
Media played.
Mr. Ferguson said, the government offers the translation Government Exhibit 6-190T.
Ms. Shrofa said, no objection, Your Honor.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 6-190T received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, can you please publish that? I'll read the translation. Those who need to replenish frozen funds should make payments to the SEC for the frozen funds. Of course, there are rewards for the investors for sure. Now, as long as you invest in the A10 project, you replenish original SEC frozen funds. You make up the Phoenix frozen funds or any replenishment. There will be the same reward, the same reward. And everyone remembers that in all this process, including many new investors who are now investing in the A10 project, the incentive mechanism and the intermediary of each farm needs to see 3.5%, 5.5%, and 7.5%. For anyone who bring new fellow fighters in, there will be incentive for them. There are rewards of 3.5%, 5.5 and 7.5%. How you allocate is your own matter. You can allocate with your parties. But these awards can be immediately redeemed. Ms. Lee, what's your understanding of what Guo is talking about here?
He's talking about the incentive if you invest A10 or reinvestment. Make reinvestment so you can get the incentive of H coin.
When he refers to frozen funds, what did you understand that to be referring to?
The SEC is for the first GTV private placement. If you receive the SEC refund, you can reinvestment. Or if you haven't received the refund, you still can repay the investment early.
When it refers to the Phoenix frozen funds, what's your understanding of what that is?
Phoenix Farm Loan Program.
Who is the leader of the Phoenix Farm?
Sarah.
What's her last name?
Sarah Wei.
Do you recall what the Phoenix Farm Company was?
I don't know.
We can take that down, Ms. Loftus. Ms. Lee, you said earlier that one of the ways you could invest in A10 was HDO, right?
Yes.
At the time of A10, could supporters send money directly to the Himalaya Exchange?
No, that time Himalaya Exchange bank account has been seized.
How would people buy A10 shares using HDO then?
So every farm will help their member to buy HDO to invest to A10. So there's two ways to buy HDO with farm's help. So farm will record the members who want to buy HDO and who want to sell HDO and match them together so they can do the deal get HDO. And another way is they can send the money to the farm company. And the farm company will send it to the headquarter company and get HDO from FMV. Then farm will send HDO back to the supporters.
You mentioned getting HDO from FMV. Was that your understanding to be the same FMV account where the lockup coins went?
Yes, same.
And getting HDO, was that like a wire transfer of US dollars, or is that just on the Himalaya Exchange? I can withdraw. How would, to your understanding at that time, FMV transfer HDO to the farm?
Through Himalaya Exchange account.
Ms. Lee, at that time, at the time of A10, could you or anyone redeem HDO for US dollars from the Himalaya Exchange?
No.
Putting aside HDO, where would real US dollars go?
Ms. Shrofa said, objection.
Mr. Ferguson said, withdrawn. Where would US dollars go?
Would go to Miles Guo headquarter companies.
Did you help facilitate some of those transfers, Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Which headquarter companies did you send transfers to?
Getcha, G Fashion, G Club.
Where was the G Club account you sent money to?
In Abu Dhabi.
Which of your companies did you use to make those transfers?
HAA Group.
Ms. Loftus, can we show the witness Government Exhibit 6-113? Ms. Lee, what's this document?
This my payment, bank payment statement.
Mr. Ferguson said, Government offers Government Exhibit 6-113.
Ms. Shrofa said, we have an objection.
The court said, you do have an objection. Step up, please.
Continued on next page. At the sidebar,
Ms. Strofa said, Your Honor, it's a foreign bank account. It's not certified. There is no stamp on it. And it's not properly admissible.
The court said, Isn't a business record of her farm?
Ms. Strofa said, It's not a business record without there being some level of certification. There's no certification whatsoever.
Mr. Ferguson said, The witness said what it is, Your Honor. We don't need a certification. We have a live witness who said this is my bank transfer record. That's 901 authentication.
Mr. Kamraju said, That doesn't admit a business record.
The court said, When she says mine, what does she mean?
Mr. Ferguson said, It's the record of the transfer she sent to get her. We can lay a foundation that this was a business record of her HAA company.
Ms. Strofa said, She's not the proper witness to lay a business record foundation.
Mr. Ferguson said, It's her company.
Ms. Strofa said, Sir, could you let me finish?
The court said, She was the person who was handling the business transaction?
Ms. Strofa said, She's still not the custodian of the records. The custodian of the records is the bank. The bank needs to certify the records in some way, shape, or form. The bank records are otherwise hearsay and are not properly admissible. Mr. Kamraju, you can chip in if you want.
Mr. Kamraju said, I was going to say, Your Honor. If they're trying to admit it as a business record for the truth of the matter that it's a wire transfer or anything else, then the proper foundation is that it's an ordinary course, regularly conducted, made at the time. Those are the elements of a business record. Every business record is authenticated by answering those 4 questions. So I don't think she can do that for the bank obviously. And I don't know how she can do that for one transaction for her company.
Mr. Ferguson said, If I may, Your Honor. I'm happy to lay a foundation that this is a business record of HAA, her company. She created, the only person who ran it, and it's a bank record that is part of HAA's business records.
Ms. Strofa said, It is not HAA's business record. It is a business record of the bank.
Mr. Ferguson said, That's wrong.
Ms. Strofa said, If HAA kept records and generated records that it kept in the ordinary course of business, those records she could testify to as the custodian of HAA. According to you, any Tom, Dick, and Harry off the street can walk in and say these are Chase business records. Yeah, I got them via email. I, as the custodian of Chase, can therefore put them in as an exception to the hearsay rule. That is not what the exception of the hearsay rule was created for.
Mr. Ferguson said, If I may, Your Honor.
The court said, If you just allow him to speak. 1 second. Go ahead.
Mr. Ferguson said, If I may say, Your Honor. That's not the way the business records rule works. The Second Circuit has long adopted what's called the adopted business records rule, which means if you have an accounting firm and you receive bank account statements, and those are part of your business records, even if they're made by the bank, they are adopted in part of your own business's business records. That is clear black letter law in the Second Circuit.
Mr. Kamraju said, You can have a business record that is a record that a business receives. But even then, you still have to lay the same foundation that in the ordinary course of business, regularly conducted business. All the same business records requirements apply. That's all I'm saying.
The court said, All right, so you're going to lay a foundation.
Mr. Ferguson said, I'll lay a foundation.
The court said, The objection is overruled.
continued on next page. In open court.
The court said, You may continue.
By Mr. Ferguson.
Ms. Lee, you testified earlier that you sent transfers using HAA?
Yeah,
Who created HAA?
me,
Who controlled HAA?
me,
Did you have knowledge of its operations?
yes,
Did you execute the wire here on behalf of HAA?
yes,
And as part of your work with HAA, did you receive bank records about wire transfers?
yes,
Was it part of your regular business controlling HAA to receive and maintain those bank records?
yes. 6-113.
Mr. Ferguson said, government offers government exhibit.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 6-113 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, please publish. Ms. Lee, on the top left, whose name is under authorizer name.
It's me.
What was the date of this wire transfer?
3rd of March 2023.
How much did you send on March 3, 2023?
About $640,000 US.
Where did you send it?
To Getcha.
Is that the beneficiary listed there?
Yes, Getcha USA Incorporated.
And what was the address for Getter?
Number 3 Columbus Circle, Floor 20, New York, New York 10019.
And scrolling, looking down a little bit, who is the remitter?
HAA Group Pty. That's my company.
Instructions to beneficiary. It says payment. Who entered those instructions?
It's me.
Why did you put payment?
Because this is to buy the HDO, the payment for buying purchase HDO.
That's what you understood it was?
Yeah.
Ms. Loftus, can we show the witness what's marked as Government Exhibit 6-106? Ms. Lee, is this another bank record you received for HAA?
Yes. 6-106.
Mr. Ferguson said, government offers government exhibit.
Ms. Strofa said, same objection as before, Your Honor.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 6-106 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, we can publish, please. While we're waiting, Ms. Lee, is this another transfer from HAA?
Yes.
What was the date of this transfer?
17th of February 2023.
How much did you send?
About $500,000 US.
Where did you send the $500,000?
GFNY Incorporated. That's G Fashion Company.
What is the address of GFNY Incorporated?
3 Columbus Circle, Floor 20, New York, New York 100198760.
That's the same address as Getter?
Yeah.
Ms. Lee, focusing on the value date listed here, the date on the page, the first two numbers. Which one on this document is the month and which one is the day?
17th, 17, that's the date, 02 is the month, February.
And where were you when you were sending this wire transfer? What country were you in?
In Australia.
Looking down towards remitter, who is the remitter?
HAA Group Pty, that's my company.
And what were the instructions to beneficiary?
HDO payment.
Why did you put HDO payment?
Because it's for purchase HDO.
That's what you understood it to be?
Yeah.
If we could show the witness what's marked as Government Exhibit 6-107. Ms. Lee, is this another bank record you received as part of your work with HAA Group?
Yes. 6-107.
Mr. Ferguson said, government offers government exhibit.
Ms. Strofa said, Your Honor, there's an objection, and I just direct the court to the top right-hand side of the document.
The court said, I understand the objection, and you're going to lay the foundation, correct?
Ms. Strofa said, It is, Your Honor.
Did you receive bank records as part of your work with HAA Group?
Yes.
And did you receive those records in the normal course of HAA's business?
This one account sent it to me.
Who sent it to you? Who sent you this?
Wang Can.
Who is Wang Can?
Wang Can is in charge of the Alliance Finance Department.
Was he a member of the Alliance?
Yes.
And you said he was in the Finance Department?
Yes.
Who controlled the Alliance?
Miles Guo.
Mr. Ferguson said, the government offers Government Exhibit 6-107.
Ms. Strofa said, Objection.
The court said, admitted. I understand the continuing objection.
Government's Exhibit 6-107 received in evidence. By Mr. Ferguson.
Can we publish it, please? Now, Ms. Lee, we looked at earlier a transfer to, just a moment ago. A transfer to GFNY. What does this record reflect after your transfer to GFNY?
About 2 months later, GFNY refunds the money back to me.
What happened of note in between those 2 months?
Miles Guo and Yvette Wang arrested.
Ms. Lee, just focusing you, the credit amount back is $501,977,000. Is that the same amount you sent to GFNY?
Yes.
And you got this back on April 17, 2023?
Yes, about 2 months later.
Ms. Lee, what did you then do with the money that was sent back from GFNY?
So I've been told to send it to G Club Me instead.
Where was the G Club Me bank account?
In Abu Dhabi.
If we can show the witness what's marked as Government Exhibit 6-108. Ms. Lee, is this a bank record from one of HAA's bank accounts?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, Government offers Government Exhibit 6-108.
Ms. Shrofa said, same objection, Your Honor.
The court said, if you would ask some foundational questions.
Did you control HAA?
Yes, I'm the director.
And did you, as part of HAA's business, did you send wire transfers?
Yes.
Did you receive copies of transfer records as part of HAA's business?
Yes.
Did you keep and maintain those records as part of your normal course of business with HAA?
Yes. 6-108.
Mr. Ferguson said, Government offers Government Exhibit.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 6-108 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, can we publish, please?
The court said, Mr. Ferguson, you can ask with regard to future business records whether a given record is a business record like the others that was kept in the ordinary course of business.
Mr. Ferguson said, understood. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Kumraju said, Your Honor, I'm sorry. I believe he should also ask who he received the record from.
Ms. Shrofa said, Your Honor, may we please have a sidebar?
The court said, okay.
Continued on next page. At the sidebar.
Ms. Shrofa said, Your Honor, I renew my objection especially as to 107. The witness testified she did not get that record from a bank. She did not get it from anybody other than an individual associated with the alliance. That record was not properly received as a business record. 1. It's not sent by a bank, and 2. It's not maintained in the ordinary course of business.
The court said, my understanding is that it was sent by a finance officer within the Guo world. Am I correct?
Mr. Ferguson said, correct.
Ms. Shrofa said, it's sent by an individual who's not in a bank. Sending a record maintained by a bank which is not this bank that she does business with, which is I think the NB. The bank at issue in 107 is called the NT Bank. It is not a bank with which she maintains any business relationship. The document doesn't come to her from a bank. There's no testimony that the person who's receiving that bank account and then giving it to her has maintained it in the ordinary course of business. There's simply no testimony to that effect. For those reasons, I would ask the court to strike the testimony pertaining to that particular exhibit. It is different from the others that the court admitted.
Mr. Ferguson said, we think there's a sufficient foundation for the business record admission. We also think there's a sufficient foundation for an agent statement. Guo controlled the alliance in the finance department. This guy works in the finance department. He sent it to Ms. Lee, and either way it comes in. It's properly admitted.
The court said, to the extent that she received this business record in the ordinary course of business and maintained it, comes in.
Continued on next page. In open court.
The court said, you may continue.
By Mr. Ferguson.
Ms. Lee, what's the date of this transfer?
3rd of May 2023.
So about 2 weeks after you got the refund back from GFNY?
Yes.
How much was this transfer?
$500,000.
Is that the same amount you had sent to GFNY?
Yes.
Where did you send this?
G Clubs Me Limited.
And what was the address of G Clubs Me Limited?
Unit 46 Al Qadam, Abu Dhabi UAE, United Arab Emirates.
Who's the remitter?
HAA Group Pty.
Ms. Loftus, can we show the witness what's marked as Government Exhibit 6-109? Ms. Lee, is this another bank record that's a business record you received for HAA?
Yes. 6-109.
Mr. Ferguson said, government offers government exhibit.
Ms. Shrofa said, same objection.
The court said, it's admitted.
Government's Exhibit 6-109 received in evidence.
The court said, I understand it's an ongoing objection.
By Mr. Ferguson.
Can we please publish, Ms. Loftus? Ms. Loftus, if we can blow it up again to make it easier to read. Thank you. What's the date of this transfer, Ms. Lee?
9th of May 2023.
About 6 days after the first G Club Me transfer?
Yes.
How much did you send on May 9th, 2023?
About $680,000.
Where did you send it?
To G Clubs Me Limited.
Is that the same Abu Dhabi UAE address?
Yes.
Now, where did this roughly $680,000 come from?
It's from other funds who want to buy HDO.
Ms. Lee, at the time you sent these funds, was there a contract with going back to the first? Was there a contract with Getter?
No.
Was there a contract with GFNY?
No.
Ms. Shrofa said, objection, Your Honor. Contract between whom and whom?
Was there any contract with Getter and you?
No.
Was there any contract with GFNY?
No.
And at the time you sent this money to G Clubs Me, both transfers, was there a contract with G Clubs Me and you or your entities at that time?
No.
The court said, the objection is overruled.
Ms. Lee, after you sent the roughly $1 million to G Clubs Me in Abu Dhabi, what happened after that?
After a few months later, I received a loan contract.
Ms. Loftus, can we show the witness what's marked as Government Exhibit 6-110? Ms. Lee, is this the loan contract?
Yes. 6-110.
Mr. Ferguson said, government offers government exhibit.
The court said, no objection.
Ms. Shrofa said, no, Your Honor.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 6-110 received in evidence. By Mr. Ferguson.
If we could publish. Ms. Loftus, I ask you to zoom out and if you could zoom in on the top half. Ms. Lee. At the top it says loan agreement between G Club Me Limited and HAA Group Pty Limited. Do you see that?
Yes.
It says, this loan agreement is made on the 20th day of February 2023, the effective date. Did you sign this agreement on February 20th, 2023?
No.
Had you been sent this agreement as of February 20th, 2023?
No.
What was the date February 20th, 2023? What's the significance of that date if you recall?
Nothing.
Ms. Lee, beneath that it says, whereas the borrower has requested a loan from the lender in the amount of €1,044,977.69 defined as the loan. Ms. Lee, what's the significance, if any, to you of euro there?
Because they don't want to use US dollar.
What's your understanding of why they didn't want to use US dollar?
Because US dollar will be traced.
Traced by whom?
Traced by US government.
If we could scroll down please, Ms. Loftus, and go to page 4. If we could zoom on the signatures. Ms. Lee, who signed this loan agreement?
Me and another two.
Who are the other two? Who are the people who signed it on behalf of G Club Me?
One is the director called Ingrid Chow. Another is manager of the G Club is Kaida Wang.
And, Ms. Lee, if you can try and speak up, please. Who was Ingrid Chow?
Ingrid Chow is a director of New G Club.
Was she a supporter?
Yes, one of the supporters. The name is the Soraka.
Remind us, was Wang Ken a supporter?
Wang Ken also is supporter, and he in charge of the Alliance Finance Department.
Ms. Lee, you explained earlier these transfers were to you understood these transfers were to buy HDO. Right?
Yes.
Was the money you sent to G Club's ME a loan?
No.
Why did you sign this loan agreement?
Because the Alliance asked me to sign, so I have to sign with them.
Please keep your voice up.
So I have to sign with them because the Alliance asked me to sign.
We can take that down, Ms. Loftus. Ms. Lee, what, if anything, happened after you signed this loan agreement with G Club's Me?
So few months after that, they asked me to sign another loan write-off document.
Ms. Shrofa said, Your Honor, objection to the day.
The court said, overruled.
Who asked you to sign the write-off?
Lao Banzhang.
Who is Lao Banzhang?
Lao Banzhang is one of the supporters.
For the court reporter's benefit, could you spell that name, please?
Lao, Lao, Banzhang, Banzhang.
What was his role in the movement?
He used to be the chairman of the Himalaya Alliance and the leader of New Zealand Farm and Iron Blood Group member.
Ms. Shrofa said, I'm sorry. We couldn't hear what she said.
He is ex-chairman of Himalaya Alliance and ex-leader of New Zealand Farm and one of the Iron Blood Group member.
At the time I'm sorry, after you received the write-off request, what did you do?
I signed.
You said earlier it wasn't a loan. Why did you sign this write-off request?
Because I have to sign the Alliance requirement.
Ms. Lee, generally speaking, what kind of protest, if any, did supporters participate in?
The protest is protest for CCP spy and traitors.
Who called them CCP spies and traitors?
Miles Guo.
Did you ever participate yourself in these protests?
No.
Did you ever see these protests?
Yes.
How did you see them?
From broadcast.
What did the protesters do at the protest you watched at a high level?
Sorry.
In the protests you watched broadcast of, what were the protesters doing?
They would go to their house, around the house, and use the sign and board, and also some information send it to the local communities, say they are the spy in their community.
Have you seen broadcast where people got hurt?
Yes.
How many?
2 incidents.
What was the first incident?
First incident was one protester punched the CCP spy.
Where was he punched?
Face.
What was the second incident?
Similar, it's one of the protesters punched the CCP spy's friend.
Where was that person punched?
Eyes.
What, if anything, did Guo say about these incidents?
He said well done.
Well done.
MMHM.
Where did he say that?
In the group chat.
Do you know if these protesters were volunteered or paid?
Paid.
How were they paid?
They paid by Rule of Law Foundation.
How much were they paid?
About $200 per day.
How were these $200 payments made?
So Rule of Law Foundation will send it to the farm leader or the protester who in charge. And then they will give to every participant protester.
Who would pick the targets of the protest?
Miles Guo.
How do you know that?
Because he said in the broadcast.
What was the blacklist?
Blacklist is the member of the farm, if they start publish. Criticize Alliance or new federal state of China or Miles Guo, they will become CCP and a traitor. So their name go to blacklist.
What happened to some of the people on the blacklist?
Some of their personal information will be posted online.
Where would that personal information come from?
Ms. Shrofa said, objection.
The court said if you know.
Ms. Shrofa said, lacks personal knowledge.
The court said, if you happen to know where the personal information came from, you may answer.
From Miles Guo.
How do you know that?
He sometimes sends the message in the group.
What kind of group?
The Farm Alliance Group.
What, if anything, did Guo say to do with the personal information?
So we can use to post it online and do some broadcast program.
Did there come a time when protesters protested withdrawn? Did there come a time when supporters protested the SEC?
Yes.
Around when?
2022.
Why were people protesting the SEC?
Because Miles Guo said our invest money been seized by SEC, so we need to ask SEC to compensate us.
What, if anything, did Miles Guo say about the SEC and the CCP?
He said SEC is infiltrated by CCP.
At the time, did you believe that?
Yes.
Did there come a time when a bankruptcy trustee was protested?
Yes.
What was the trustee's name? If you know, are you able to spell that name?
Luc Despens, LUC-DPNS.
Whose bankruptcy was Mr. Despens the trustee for?
Miles Guo.
Why were supporters protesting the bankruptcy trustee?
Because Miles Guo said he's a CCP spy and the DOJ also infiltrated by CCP.
At the time, did you believe that?
Yes.
How long were the trustee protest?
For 90 days.
Did you watch broadcast for those protests?
Yes.
The court said, "It's 11:30, so it's time for our break. Remember that you're not permitted to discuss the case amongst yourselves. You're not permitted to allow anyone to discuss the case in your presence. Don't watch, read or listen to anything concerning anything that has to do with this case."
The law clerk said, "Jury exiting."
Jury not present.
The court said, "Please be seated. Is there anything before we return at noon?"
Mr. Ferguson said, "Not from the government."
Mr. Kumraju said, "Not from us, Your Honor."
The court said, "Okay."
Recess. Afternoon session 12 p.m.
The court said, "Please be seated and please have the jurors brought in."
Jury present.
The court said, "Please be seated. Remember, Ms. Lee, that you're still under oath. You are still under oath. Go ahead."
By Mr. Ferguson.
Ms. Lee, when we stopped for the break, we were discussing the protests of the bankruptcy trustee. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, "Ms. Loftus, can we show the witness what's marked as Government Exhibit 6194? Ms. Lee, is this an image from one of the broadcasts you watched?
Yes. 6194.
Mr. Ferguson said, "Government offers government exhibit."
The court said, "Any objection?"
Ms. Strofa said, "No objection, Your Honor."
The court said, "It is admitted."
Government's Exhibit 6194 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, "Could we publish, please?"
By Mr. Ferguson.
Ms. Lee, I want to focus you on the top left. Mr. Ferguson said, "And Ms. Loftus, if we could zoom in on the top left poster, please." Ms. Lee, can you read the text on that poster?
Take down the CCP. Luc Despens. CCP's running dog.
And just to remind us, who is Luc Despens?
He is the trustee from Miles Guo's bankruptcy case.
What's your understanding of what CCP's running dog means?
It's CCP's party, controlled by the CCP, work for CCP.
Mr. Ferguson said, "Ms. Loftus, we can zoom out. And zoom in on the top middle. Ms. Lee, do you know who Neil A. Torpy is?"
No.
Mr. Ferguson said, "You could zoom out. And then on the far right top. Ms. Lee, do you know who's pictured here?
No.
Are you able to read the text on that poster?
Supporters of genocide. CCP's running dog. Paul Hastings.
What's Paul Hastings?
This lawyer, the legal firm for Miles Guo's bankruptcy case.
Is that where Mr. Despens works?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, "If we could zoom out." Now, Ms. Lee, was the trustee protested at one location or more than one location?
More than one location.
This is one. Where else was the trustee protested?
Ms. Strofa said, "Objection, Your Honor."
The court said, Was there another location?
The witness said his house.
The court said, overruled.
Was anyone related to the trustee also protested?
Yes.
Who?
His wife.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, we can take this down for now. And in addition to the trustee and his wife, were there protests of anyone else involved in Miles Guo's bankruptcy?
Yes, the biggest creditor named. The company name is Pax.
Can you spell that, please, Ms. Lee?
PX.
And is Pax a person or a company?
A company's name.
What kind of company?
It's a fund.
I'm sorry?
It's a, like investment fund.
What was Pax's role in Miles Guo's bankruptcy?
Ms. Strofa said, objection.
The court said, would you step up, please?
Continued on next page. At the sidebar.
The court said, does the witness have first-hand knowledge of the bankruptcy proceedings?
Mr. Ferguson said, yes. She followed it, and I just wanted to talk about it. I'm happy to rephrase and ask, what's your understanding of Pax's role in the bankruptcy?
Mr. Kumraju said, sorry. When you say she followed it, you mean like she read about it online?
Mr. Ferguson said, correct.
Mr. Kumraju said, isn't that all based on hearsay?
Mr. Ferguson said, well, it's Miles Guo talking about it.
The court said, so you can ask what he said about it.
Continued on next page. In open court. By Mr. Ferguson.
Ms. Lee, did Miles Guo talk about his bankruptcy in broadcasts?
Yes.
Did you watch those broadcasts?
Yes.
What's your understanding from watching those broadcasts of Pax's role in Miles Guo's bankruptcy?
Ms. Strofa said, objection. We just.
The court said, sustained.
Ms. Strofa said, thank you.
The court said, so the question should be whether Mr. Guo said something about Pax.
What did Mr. Guo say Pax's role was in his bankruptcy?
Its biggest creditor.
Ms. Strofa said, I'll move to strike, Your Honor. That's non-responsive.
The court said, overruled. Go ahead.
Who at Pax was protested, Ms. Lee?
The director of the Pax, Shang Wenjian.
Could you spell that name, please?
SJN, Shang Wenjian, WNJN.
Was anyone else associated with Pax protested?
Yes.
Who?
Shang Wenjian's daughter and son.
And were his children in school or out of school at that time?
The daughter is in university.
And why were Pax and its chairman's children protested with, I'm sorry? Go ahead.
Because Miles Guo said that Shang Wenjian is CCP spy.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, if we could publish again Government Exhibit 6194. If we could blow up the bottom left. Ms. Lee, what's the text on this poster?
Extortionist appointed by DOJ.
What, if anything, did Guo say about the DOJ around this time?
DOJ's been weaponized by the CCP, infiltrated by CCP.
At the time, did you believe that?
Yes.
Did there come a time when you received a subpoena from the bankruptcy trustee?
Yes.
Around when was that?
Around May of 2022.
What, if any, conversations did you have with Miles Guo about that subpoena?
Miles Guo said we should throw it in the rubbish bin.
Throw what in the rubbish bin?
Throw the subpoena from trustee, throw the subpoena from trustee.
From the bankruptcy trustee?
Yes.
And after Miles Guo said you should throw the subpoena in the rubbish bin, what did you do?
I throw it away.
Why did you do that?
Because that time I believed Miles Guo said Luke Despins is CCP spy.
Mr. Ferguson said, you can take that down, Ms. Loftus. Ms. Lee, are you still a follower of Miles Guo?
No. I left.
Was there one thing or more than one thing that led to you no longer following Miles Guo?
Ms. Strofa said, objection.
The court said, sustained. What led you to?
Ms. Lee, what was the first thing that led you to stop following Miles Guo?
Ms. Strofa said, objection. It assumes facts not in evidence.
The court said, just what led you to? Then you can say, was there anything else?
What led you to have doubts about Miles Guo?
15th of March 2023, Miles Guo and Yvette Wang were arrested.
After they were arrested, did you leave the movement completely?
No.
Why not?
Because that time I still believed.
Still believed what?
Miles Guo.
Ms. Lee, prior to Miles Guo's arrest, what, if any, instructions did you receive regarding your phones from Miles Guo?
We should delete.
Ms. Shrofa said, objection as to time frame. From 2017 to 2023? Is there a time frame at all?
The court said, add a time frame.
Around when did you get these instructions about your phone?
2022.
What did Guo tell you to do about your phones?
To delete the information, change the numbers. Delete information, change numbers.
What did he say?
Because CCP can hack us, our phone.
And did Guo tell you this himself or through an intermediary?
To myself.
And where did he say that?
Where?
What?
In the WhatsApp chat.
Did he explain why he wanted you to delete the information from your phones?
Because CCP is hacking my phone.
At the time, did you believe that was the reason why?
Yes.
Do you still believe that's why he asked you to do that?
Now I don't believe.
Now, Ms. Lee, after Guo's arrest, what, if anything, were you told to do with your phones after Guo's arrest?
Yes.
Ms. Shrofa said, objection. By whom?
Were you told to do anything by an alliance member?
Yes.
Who?
Brother Long Island Chang Dao.
What did Chang Dao tell you to do?
Chang Dao said, next week, FBI going to arrest us, you need to delete all the information.
Did you delete information?
I delete most of them and I keep some direct message with Miles Guo.
Were you worried about being arrested?
Ms. Shrofa said, objection.
The court said, did you have any concerns? That's the question.
Did you have any concerns about being arrested?
Yes.
Why were you concerned about being arrested?
Because the DOJ being infiltrated by CCP, so they use FBI to arrest us.
At the time, did you believe that?
Yes.
Do you still believe that today?
No.
Ms. Lee, after Miles Guo's arrest, what was the next thing, if any, that caused you to have doubts?
On the Mawa Mansion.
When you say Mawa Mansion, what are you referring to?
There's a property Miles Guo bought for secret base for new federal state of China.
And who said Miles Guo bought that property as a secret base for the NFSC?
Brother Long Island Chang Dao.
Did he say that before Miles Guo's arrest or after Miles Guo's arrest?
After.
What was, and Ms. Lee, where did he say that?
In the broadcast.
Chang Dao did?
Yeah.
Did you watch that broadcast?
Yes.
What was your reaction to hearing Miles Guo bought this Mawa property as a secret base for the NFSC?
Ms. Shrofa said, objection. That is not the testimony. The testimony was that Long Island David said that.
The court said, sustained.
What was your reaction to Chang Dao saying that Miles Guo bought the property as a secret NFSC base?
I have doubts because I never heard about it.
When did you first hear about this secret base?
From the document, the government document.
All right. Ms. Loftus, and I'm sorry. When did you hear Chang Dao first say secret base?
In March 2023, in Chang Dao's broadcast.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Ms. Loftus, if we could show the witness just side by side what's marked as Government Exhibits 628 and 29. Ms. Lee, what are these exhibits?
This Miles Guo's voice message. He asked me to translate and send it to his lawyer in end of 2021.
Mr. Ferguson said, government offers Government Exhibits 628 and 629.
The court said, no objection?
Ms. Shrofa said, no, Your Honor, no objection.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibits 628 and 629 received in evidence.
Ms. Lee, as a general matter. What was he asking you? What was the subject of what he was asking you to translate?
So translate to his lawyer, his family fund going to buy a property and there's a price and some conditions. So they want to finish this purchase transaction.
Mr. Ferguson said, and I guess maybe we can just pull up the English, GX 629. All right. And Ms. Lee, and just to be clear on what this is. Where did the words that are written on this page, where did those words come from?
From Miles Guo's voice message.
And then did you translate that into English?
Yes.
Okay. Now, and after you translated it, what did you do with it?
I sent back to Miles Guo.
All right. So now looking at the exhibit, at the top it says, Dear Anren. Who did you understand Anren to be?
Anren Mitchell is one of Miles Guo's lawyer.
And I'll go ahead and read the text. I have just informed my family members about the property today. And also told them that the owner can reduce the price from $33 million to $28 million. Many of them know about this house and are very interested in buying it as an investment for the fund where we can host our family to live there. Or sometimes we may also convert it to host our club members. I'll keep going. I want to reiterate the following key points about this offer. The family fund offering the final price is $26 million to close this deal ASAP. ASAP, with the fund. Please contact William, and use that fund to buy this. You can make a one-time payment. Sign the contract as soon as possible. Ms. Lee, when you received and translated this message from Miles Guo, who did you understand would use this property?
Miles Guo's family.
Why was that your understanding?
Because the family member agreed to buy this property and use his family fund, the money from the family fund.
When he said, where it says, where we can host our family to live there, what did you understand that to mean?
So their family members can live there.
And when he said, sometimes we may also convert it to host our club members, what did you understand that to mean?
So G Club's members can use it sometimes.
Did you expect to be able to go to this property?
No.
Why not?
Because it's his family house.
Focusing on the second paragraph, about how the family fund offering the final price is $26 million. What was your understanding of where the money to buy this property was coming from, according to this?
From his family fund.
What was your understanding of what Guo's family fund was?
It's one of his entity.
And what, if anything, did Guo say about his family fund?
His family fund have a lot of money.
By the way, Ms. Lee, did Guo ever discuss a red Lamborghini in the broadcasts?
Yes.
What did he say about how that red Lamborghini was paid for?
No.
Sorry. What, if anything, did he say about how that Lamborghini was paid for?
Paid by family fund. His family fund reward him.
Reward him with what?
Reward him for his hard working.
And what did they give him as a reward?
That Lamborghini car.
Ms. Lee, this has a reference to William. What's your understanding of who William is?
William is William J.
Ms. Lee, did you think the money to buy this property was coming from G Clubs?
No.
Did you think the money to buy this property was Alliance money?
No.
Did you think it was investor money?
No.
What, if anything, did Guo tell you about using supporter money to buy this property?
Never use supporters' money buy anything, even a meal.
If you had known that this property was being bought with investor money, would you have facilitated investments by your farm members?
Ms. Strofa said, Objection, Your Honor.
No.
Ms. Strofa said, I move to strike, and I'm happy to have a sidebar on this matter.
The court said, overruled. You may answer.
If you had known, Ms. Lee, that this property was being purchased with investor money, would you have facilitated?
Ms. Strofa said, Your Honor, the question assumes facts that are not in evidence.
The court said, I've overruled the objection.
Ms. Lee, if you had known that this property was being purchased with investor money, would you have facilitated investments by your farm members?
No.
Why not?
Because our investment is for taking down the CCP, not for his family members or for his personal luxury life. No.
Ms. Lee, does buying a multi-million-dollar house, $26 million house, in your view, help fight the CCP?
Ms. Strofa said, Objection, Your Honor.
The court said, Overruled. You may answer.
No.
Does buying a red Lamborghini, in your view, help fight the CCP?
No.
Ms. Strofa said, Same objection.
The court said, Overruled.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, let's go to the next page, please. Actually, I'm sorry, Ms. Loftus. If you could scroll up just slightly. It says, as this is a protected property, the owner is now required to confirm the following. 1. This house cannot have any more restrictions on how to living or using. 2. Ensure that all information about this house on the market is true. And then, 3. Make sure that the house has never had a cemetery or burial site in its history. And has never been any clash of cultures, for example, being haunted, burned or unlucky.
By Mr. Ferguson.
Ms. Lee, did Guo say anything to you about the property being haunted?
No.
Mr. Ferguson said, let's go to page 3, please. All right. And I'll start reading paragraph 5. We hope that the current owner, this gentleman, will stay in close contact with us for the next 2 years. And the fund will put in $3 million to $5 million in renovation. And he will be in charge and responsible for the approval of the renovation projects, subject to our budget approval. And then there's subpoints. We are planning to convert an open-air outdoor pavilion on the upper side of the courtyard into a new pavilion, and he will help us to get permit from the government. B. We will add a lot of outdoor building lighting surrounding all buildings and courtyards, including the deep cleaning of the whole building again. And we can scroll down. And the last sentence there says, of course, the cost and expenses are all on us. C. The lighting inside this house is so terrible. We will add 24 to 36 wall lamps. Skipping to D. We will move all these furniture with this property currently to the rooms on the 3rd floor and the 2nd floor. The furniture that the whole family fund likes in the future will be rearranged to the hall on the 1st floor and the vacant rooms on the 2nd floor. After we buy these furniture, we hope he can help us to arrange them in. For the outdoor garden. In addition to adding lighting, we need all the fountains to be in operation 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Planting trees and in-depth transformation of the whole garden. Skipping to F. The family fund now has a budget of $3 million to $5 million for all renovations. These renovation projects also include the kitchen on the 1st floor. The kitchen may be a whole kitchen renovation. And I hope he can help to complete it. Last one is the transformation of the whole garden, more trees, more plants. And we can scroll up slightly, Ms. Loftus.
By Mr. Ferguson.
Ms. Lee, what was your understanding of where the money for these renovations of this property was coming from?
From his family fund.
Did you think these renovations would be paid for with G Club's money?
No.
Did you think they would be paid for with supporter money?
No.
Did you think they would be paid for with investor money?
No.
All right. Let's go down to the next page. Number 6. The last and most serious thing is that he and the agent must sign to ensure that they must always keep a legal commitment to this transaction. Never disclose any information to any second party or third party, and keep it absolutely confidential, including the right to judicial protection that they cannot disclose any information about this deal even when testifying in court. Ms. Lee, that says they can't disclose any information about this. Why do you think this was disclosed to you?
Ms. Strofa said, Objection.
Because.
The court said you may answer.
Because Miles Guo trusts me and he wants me to translate it.
Had he shared with you other things that were secret?
Yeah, everything he communicate with me is secret.
Had you kept all those things secret?
Yes.
What, if anything, did Guo say to you about this property being a secret NFSC base?
No, never.
What did you understand this property was?
It's his family property.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, we can take it down. Thank you. Now, Ms. Lee, after Miles Guo's arrest, after hearing Chang Dao say the Mawa property was a secret base, what was the next thing, if any, that caused you to have doubts?
The HCHK Ventures.
What is the full name of that company?
Holy City Hong Kong Ventures.
And where was it based?
In BVI.
What position, if any, if I call it HCHK BVI, will you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And what position, if any, did you hold at HCHK BVI?
I'm one of the director.
Who else, if anyone, was a director?
Yvette Wang.
When did you become a director of HCHK BVI?
July 2022.
Who, if anyone, had asked you to become a director?
Miles Guo.
What did Guo tell you?
He told me we're going to set up a new rule of law foundation in BVI and Yvette Wang will contact me for details.
Rule of Law Foundation, is that where you were already a director?
Yes.
And after Guo told you that, what did you do?
Yvette Wang contacted me.
And what did Yvette Wang tell you?
So we prepared for talk to the BVI lawyer, how and why we need to set up the new rule of law foundation in BVI.
And what, if any, reasons were you told for setting up a new rule of law foundation in BVI?
First is we want to set up more branches in different countries and we want to accept HDO donation.
And why did you have to set something up in BVI to accept HDO donation?
Because Himalaya Exchange is not available in US.
And did you become a director of HCHK BVI?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, if we could show the witness what's marked as Government Exhibit 687. Ms. Lee, what is this document?
This document is appointing me as a director of this company. 687.
Mr. Ferguson said, Government offers Government Exhibit.
Ms. Shrofa said, no objection, Your Honor.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 687 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, can we please publish, Ms. Loftus? And Ms. Loftus, if we could maybe enlarge the text. We don't need the footnotes.
By Mr. Ferguson.
All right. Ms. Lee, the date, what's the date of this document?
20th of July 2022.
And how long after your conversations with Guo and Yvette did you sign this?
2 months later.
Did you have any conversations before signing this document?
Yes, I sent.
What, I'm sorry.
Yes, I sent a message to confirm with Miles Guo should I sign this. He said yes.
And was that with an intermediary or with Miles Guo directly?
Directly.
Ms. Lee, after you signed this document to become a director of HCHK BVI, what was your involvement with the entity after that, in the next several months?
Nothing.
Did Miles Guo talk to you about the new rule of law after that?
No.
Did Yvette Wang talk to you about the new rule of law after that?
No.
Mr. Ferguson said, you can take it down, Ms. Loftus. Did there come a time when you discussed HCHK BVI with Yvette Wang, again?
Yes. So.
Well, Ms. Lee, first, when did you discuss it with her again, what month or year?
April 2023.
And was that in person or on the phone?
On the phone.
Who was on that call?
Yvette Wang and brother Long Island Chang Dao.
What did Yvette say to you?
Yvette Wang said do her a favor, asked me to do her a favor.
What was the favor?
To sign all the documents, yeah.
And what did you understand her request to be?
To sign all the documents related to HCHK BVI.
And Ms. Lee, was this conversation before or after Yvette Wang's arrest?
After.
After this call with Yvette Wang and Chang Dao, what happened next?
One lawyer called me, asked me to sign some document, some sort. Document is coming to my email.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, can we show the witness what's marked as Government Exhibit 6101? Is this the email, Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, Government offers Government Exhibit 6101.
Ms. Strofa said, Your Honor, may I just have 1 second?
The court said yes.
Ms. Strofa said, Thank you. No objection, Your Honor.
The court said, It is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 6101 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, Thank you. Could we please publish, Ms. Loftus? Thank you. Ms. Loftus. If we could first blow up the bottom half, the bottom email.
By Mr. Ferguson.
Ms. Lee, focusing you on the top right, what's the date of this email?
11th of April 2023.
And I'll read are you a participant on this email chain?
Yes.
I'll read the text and the body. It says Mulan. Who is Mulan, Ms. Lee?
It's me.
Can you kindly execute this as soon as you can? And it says, thanks much. Mr. Ferguson said, if we could scroll up now to the top email. All right. This is the same day, Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Who is this email from?
Alex Lipman.
Who did Alex Lipman represent?
Yvette Wang.
I'll read the body. It says, Dear all. Please see attached Holy City HKBVI corporate resolution signed by Yvette and authorizing the appointment of the assignee and the hiring of Anthony S. And sorry. And it says Mulan, can you please sign right away also and circulate to this group? Thank you. Ms. Lee. What did you do after receiving this email?
So I signed the document that Lipman sent to me.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, can we show the witness what's marked as Government Exhibit 6102? Ms. Lee, is this the document you signed?
Yes. 6102.
Mr. Ferguson said, Government offers Government Exhibit.
Ms. Strofa said, We have no objection, Your Honor.
The court said, It is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 6102 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, will you please publish? All right. And Ms. Loftus, if we could blow up the top half or so.
By Mr. Ferguson.
All right. Ms. Lee, do you see at the top it says? Written consent of the directors of corporation in lieu of a special meeting of Holy City Hong Kong Ventures Limited?
Yes.
And what's the date of this document listed underneath there?
10th of April 2023.
I'm going to read the bottom 3 resolutions there. Resolved, that the corporation owns 99.9999% of the shares of Lexington Property and Staffing Incorporated.
Lexington. Resolved, that the corporation owns 99.9999% of the shares of HCHK Technologies, Inc., HCHK Tech. Resolved, that the corporation owns 99.9999% of the shares of HCHK Property Management, Incorporated, HCHK Property. Ms. Lee, did you know what those entities were?
No.
Mr. Ferguson said, if you could zoom out, please. And if we could zoom on the second from the bottom resolution, please. And I'm going to read the second from bottom. It says, resolved, that Lexington, HCK Tech, and HCHK Property is hereby authorized to execute deeds of assignment for the benefit of creditors, the deed of assignment, to Brian W. Hoffmeister, ESQ, hereinafter the assignee, and it gives his address. Ms. Lee, did you know what assignment for the benefit of creditors was?
I don't know.
Did you know who Brian Hoffmeister was?
I don't know.
Did you ever speak with him?
No.
Mr. Ferguson said, if we can zoom out. And you can scroll down. We can zoom in on the signatures. Ms. Lee, if you didn't know those things, why did you sign this document?
Because this alliance asked me to sign and Yvette Wang told me to do her a favor.
After you signed this document in April 2024, Ms. Lee, what happened after that? Mr. Ferguson said, you can take it down.
Ms. Shrofa said, 2023. Objection, Your Honor.
Mr. Ferguson said, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My apologies. Just to clarify, when did you sign that document, approximately what month and year?
April 2023.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. And after you signed it, what happened after that?
So in June, the trustee Luke sent the document, sent a TRO to stop this transfer.
What was your understanding of that TRO?
It's temporary restriction order.
And what was your understanding of the purpose of that?
To stop this transfer, so I realized we shouldn't do this.
So Ms. Lee, you mentioned a transfer. When did you first learn about? We'll talk about the transfer. When did you first learn about the transfer?
In this document, Luke's document.
The TRO?
Yeah.
All right. And what did you learn this transfer was, from what to what?
From HCHK to G News.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, if we could. Ms. Lee, when you signed the document you looked at. Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, if you want to pull up GX6102. Did you understand there would be any transfers of assets?
No. I thought that's closing down for the company.
And when you signed the documents, what was your understanding of what assets these entities had?
No assets, just closing down.
Mr. Ferguson said, you can take it down, Ms. Loftus. Now, Ms. Lee, after the trustee tried to stop this transfer, what, if anything, did an alliance member ask you to do?
Asked me to start a lawsuit to sue Luke, to stop Luke get this money.
Who asked you to sue the trustee?
Zhang Yongbing.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, can we please publish Government Exhibit 121? It's in evidence. And Ms. Lee, when Zhang Yongbing asked you to sue the trustee, how did you respond?
I said no. I said, I want to resign from the director. I don't want to sue Luke.
What happened after that, or withdrawn? Were you able to resign then?
No.
Why not?
Because the lawyer resigned before me, so we can't process.
And Ms. Lee, I'll ask you to keep your voice up, please.
The BVI lawyer resigned just before me, so no one process, so we need another new lawyer first.
Ultimately, Ms. Lee, were you able to resign?
Yes.
Approximately when were you able to resign from HCHK BVI?
About July 2023.
And after you resigned, what, if anything, were you asked to do?
They wanted me to sign false affidavit to the trustee court, the bankruptcy court.
Who asked you to sign a false affidavit?
Zhang Yongbing.
Who, if anyone, did Zhang Yongbing take direction from?
Ms. Shrofa said, objection.
To your knowledge?
Ms. Shrofa said, objection.
The court said, if you know.
Who, if anyone, to your knowledge, Ms. Lee, did Zhang Yongbing take directions from?
Miles Guo.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, can we show the witness what's marked as Government Exhibit 666? Ms. Lee, what's this document?
This affidavit Zhang Yongbing wanted me to sign.
Mr. Ferguson said, the government offers Government Exhibit 6. And did he send it to you?
Yes. 666.
Mr. Ferguson said, government offers Government Exhibit.
The court said, no objection.
Ms. Shrofa said, no, Your Honor.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 666 received in evidence.
Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, please publish.
By Mr. Ferguson.
Now, Ms. Lee, before Zhang Yongbing sent you this affidavit, did he interview you about the affidavit?
No.
Mr. Ferguson said, all right. Ms. Loftus, I'll just read it. At the top, Ms. Lee. Do you see it says United States Bankruptcy Court District of Connecticut Bridgeport Division? You see that?
Yes.
And beneath that it says in re, Ho-Wan Kwok, et al., debtors. Who's Ho-Wan Kwok?
Miles Guo.
And then beneath that, it says, Luca E. Despens, Chapter 11 Trustee for the estate of Ho-Wan Kwok. Plaintiff, v. HCHK Technologies Incorporated, HCHK Property Management Incorporated, Lexington Property and Staffing Incorporated. Holy City Hong Kong Ventures, Limited, Anthony D. Batista, Yvette Wang, and Brian W. Hoffmeister. Assignee for the benefit of the creditors. Do you see that, Ms. Lee? Do you see that?
Yes.
And to the right of that, do you see the date is September? The date on this is September 21st, 2023?
Yes.
All right. Now beneath that in bold center, it says, Declaration of Lan Mu, aka Ali. Is that you?
Yes.
Did you write this document?
No.
Who did?
Zhang Yongbing.
Mr. Ferguson said, okay. Ms. Loftus, if we can just scroll slightly. So in paragraph 2, it says actually, I'll start with paragraph 1 just slightly. In the second sentence, it says, I understand the obligations and offer the following under penalty of perjury. It says, I believe the following statements are true to the best of my knowledge, information, and belief. In paragraph 2, it says, I submit this affidavit in connection with the efforts by Holy City Hong Kong Ventures Limited, a BVI corporation, and its 3 wholly owned subsidiaries, HCHK Technologies, HCHK Property, and HCHK Lexington, to protect their interests in the above-captioned adversary proceeding. And if we could scroll down. And it says, until September of this year, I served as a director of HCHKV. I had nominal ownership of HCHKV. Whereas Yvette Wan was the primary owner and director of HCHKV. Ms. Lee, is that accurate?
It's about July. I served it to July.
And aside from the month, is that generally accurate?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, may I have a moment, Your Honor? Okay. Paragraph 4 says that. I understand that there is some concern about HCHKV's delay in answering the legal proceedings in this court. The explanation is straightforward. I was worried about making any move as the minority and nominal director without more information in counsel. Was that true? Ms. Lee?
No.
Why not?
Because I get information, direction from Yvette Wang. To sign those documents.
If we'll skip down to paragraph 6. Since that time, I and other HCHKV principals, creditors, and counsel have had numerous discussions on how to best proceed, and more importantly, how to proceed with appropriate caution. This has taken considerable time. And it says, based on these discussions. In April 2023 I, and Ms. Lee, who do you understand I to be referring to here?
Myself.
Based on these discussions in April 2023, I authorized the assignment proceedings pending in New York Supreme Court concerning HCHKV Technologies and the related wind-down of that business. I understand and believe that Mr. Anthony D. Batista authorized the ABC proceedings on behalf of HCHK Property and HCHK Lexington. Prior to the wind-down, however, these HCHKV entities operated as viable businesses. Is this information a true affidavit from you?
No.
Why not?
I never have any meeting with them, and I don't know the document I signed is for this transfer. I thought it's just closing down that entities.
Did you know whether the HCHKV entities operated as viable businesses?
No.
The court said, are you answering that you did not know, or that they did not operate as viable businesses?
Mr. Ferguson said, if I may, Your Honor. Did you know one way or the other whether HCHKV entities operate as viable businesses?
I don't know.
And I'll read paragraph 8. It says, meanwhile, I also came to learn that the corporate formalities in the BVI had become stale. So we also needed to make certain filings and reappoint agents of service to ensure that the corporate form was current. This also took some time. Is that true, Ms. Lee?
Yes.
And I'll keep reading with 9. Mr. Ferguson said, if we could scroll down, Ms. Loftus, and maybe enlarge it. I have come to learn and believe, however, that the assignee has to date failed to make the HCHKV entity's creditors whole in the New York State court action, opting instead to surrender the HCHKV entity's assets to the U.S. trustee in this case as part of a separate agreement. And then there's a footnote. Footnote 2. Mr. Ferguson said, Ms. Loftus, if we could just zoom out and go to the footnote, please. All right. The footnote 2 says, it is undeniable that I and the people involved with HCHKV entities had and or have a supportive relationship with the worldwide political and social movement to re-establish freedom and democracy in China, the movement. It is also undeniable that much of the profit and assets of the HCHKV entities' businesses had historically been made available to assist the movement. Regardless, these entities were viable operating businesses, with the possible exception, upon information and belief, of HCHK Lexington, which I believe existed largely as a corporate shell. Is this accurate, Ms. Lee?
No, I don't know anything about that. Even I don't know the structure of this group.
Mr. Ferguson said, you can zoom out, Ms. Loftus. Ms. Lee, was the affidavit Zhang Yongbing asked you to sign true or false?
False.
Did you sign it?
No.
Why didn't you sign it?
Because I know we can't say lie to the court. That's the bottom line.
Ms. Lee, after you refused to sign, what, if anything, did Zhang Yongbing say to you to get you to sign?
He sent me a final notice to threaten me to sign it.
What was the threat?
The threat is, if we lose this case, we lost the money, Luke take over this money. I will be fully responsible for all this money.
How much money was involved?
38 million.
What did you understand him to say when he said you would be fully responsible for the 38 million?
I have to pay back 38 million.
How did you respond?
I said, no, I don't have 38 million. If they want me to pay, they can take my life.
What did you mean by that?
I don't have 38 million. If they wanted me to be responsible, they can use my life to pay it.
What did you mean by they could use your life to pay for it?
They can kill me.
Why did you say that?
Because I have no other solutions.
Were you harmed at all, Ms. Lee, physically?
No.
Did you think about harming yourself?
Yes.
Why didn't you do that?
Ms. Shrofa said, objection, relevance, Your Honor.
The court said, overruled. You may answer.
Because I have my 11-year-old daughter.
Mr. Ferguson said, we can take down the affidavit, Ms. Loftus. Ms. Lee, what effect, if any, did this incident of the false affidavit and the threat? What effect did that have on your doubts about Miles Guo?
After this, I fully realized this is a scam.
After you realized it was a scam, what did you do next?
I tried to contact the U.S. government.
And before you did that, Ms. Lee, what, if anything, did you review?
The whole last 7 years.
What sorts of things did you review?
Everything. Miles Guo's broadcasts and the document we signed.
And what did you find in your review?
I find this is a scam.
When you realized that, Ms. Lee, how did that feel when you realized that?
I feel very angry, desperate, I feel guilty, I feel regret, and I'm very depressed. And I thought about suicide.
You said, Ms. Lee, that you felt angry. Why did you feel angry?
We've been cheated by Miles Guo. He lied to us. But we so trust him, we trust him 100%, no doubt. No question.
You said you felt guilty too. Why did you feel guilty?
I feel guilty for my family because all these 7 years, I didn't look after my family.
What were you doing instead?
Ms. Shrofa said, objection.
The court said, overruled.
I worked very hard for Miles Guo and my G-Translator group. All the members worked very hard for Miles Guo.
Ms. Lee, did there come a time when you spoke with the bankruptcy trustee?
Yes.
And approximately when did you do that?
Around October 2023.
At a high level, what did you speak with the bankruptcy trustee about?
About the whole HCHK things.
Did there come a time when you contacted the FBI?
Yes.
Around when was that?
November 2023.
Why did you contact the FBI?
Because I want to report to U.S. government Miles Guo cheated us, lied to us, and misleaded me.
How many times, Ms. Lee, have you met with the FBI and the prosecutors, roughly?
10 times. Around 10 times.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. And if you can, please try and keep your voice up, if you can.
Okay.
When you contacted the FBI, did you feel safe or unsafe?
Safe.
And after contacting the FBI or before?
After.
How did you feel before contacting the FBI?
I feel unsafe.
Why did you feel unsafe?
Because if I stop cooperating with Alliance, they will say I'm the CCP spy and a traitor and start bullying me. And I feared about this, and I feared about my family, my house.
Ms. Lee, were you ever arrested?
No.
Did you travel to the United States to testify voluntarily or involuntarily?
Ms. Strofa said, Your Honor, we covered all of this before, so I'm going to object as asked and answered.
The court said, this was asked and answered.
Ms. Lee, why are you here to testify today?
I come here to testify to tell how Miles Guo cheated us, how Miles Guo lied to us, how Miles Guo misleading us.
Ms. Lee, in his broadcasts, what, if anything, did Miles Guo say about being targeted by the CCP?
He said his family members, his employees in China, targeted by CCP.
And what else, if anything, did he say about being targeted by the CCP?
And his assets been taken over by CCP.
Did he ever talk about hacking?
Yeah, his phone hacked by CCP.
And what about attempts to get him sent back to China?
Yes, CCP send out the officers to US and to try to persuade President Trump to send him back to China.
Ms. Lee, if it were true that Miles Guo was targeted by the CCP, how does that change your view of Miles Guo's movement?
Ms. Strofa said, Objection, Your Honor.
The court said, overruled.
If it were true he was targeted by the CCP, how does that change your view of Miles Guo's movement?
No change.
If it were true he was targeted by the CCP, how does that change your view of his investment projects?
No change.
Why doesn't it change your view, Ms. Lee?
Ms. Strofa said, Your Honor, I object based on relevance.
The court said, overruled. You may answer.
Even being targeted by CCP doesn't mean you can scam people's money. I'm also being targeted by CCP. I won't cheat any people's money. That's wrong.
How were you targeted by the CCP, Ms. Lee?
My parents in China. The CCP police called them and asked them to tell me stop what I'm doing because my activities is threatened the national security. And they also called my parents and other relatives to try to find me, ask them if I'm back to China. How they contact me, and my parents tell me don't go back to China, they will arrest me, but I'm the only child.
Ms. Lee, after being targeted by the CCP, did you spend supporter money on yourself?
No.
Did you spend investor money on yourself?
No.
Why not?
Because that's not my money. It's investment money, supporters' money. And those monies should be used to fight against the CCP, not for myself.
Ms. Lee, by participating in Miles Guo's investment projects, did you get rich?
No.
In terms of dollars in and dollars out, did you make money or lose money?
Lose money.
About how much did you lose?
About around 20,000.
By participating in Miles Guo's movement, did you take down the CCP?
No.
What's been the result of, in your view? What's been the result of this movement and these investment projects?
Ms. Shrofa said, objection to the form of the question.
The court said, are you asking the result on her?
Mr. Ferguson said, yes.
The court said, okay, go ahead.
The result is the supporters not getting rich but getting poorer, and that supporters feeling disappointed and will leave.
Ms. Shrofa said, objection, Your Honor. The question is the result on her.
The court said, so speak only for yourself.
Ms. Shrofa said, and I move to strike the first part of her answer.
I'm getting poorer and I will leave this movement. In the final. I also don't want to take part in any democracy activities because I don't know if it's another scam.
Mr. Ferguson said, may I have a brief moment, Your Honor?
The court said yes.
Ms. Lee, I want to take a step back to the start when you began watching Miles Guo's videos. Why did you start following Miles Guo?
Ms. Shrofa said, Your Honor, we've been over this.
The court said, she's already given her answer to this question.
Mr. Ferguson said, I have just 3 more questions or so, Your Honor.
The court said, go ahead.
By Mr. Ferguson.
Ms. Lee, sitting here today, do you still believe in democracy in China?
Ms. Shrofa said, objection. He's been over this before.
The court said, I don't believe that he's asked about democracy in China. Do you still believe in democracy in China?
The witness said, yes.
Sitting here today, do you still trust Miles Guo?
Ms. Shrofa said, asked and answered, at least 10 times.
Mr. Ferguson said, not about today, Your Honor.
Ms. Shrofa said, as opposed to yesterday?
Mr. Ferguson said, no, as opposed to when she was a follower.
The court said, you may answer.
No.
Why not?
Ms. Shrofa said, I believe that's been asked and answered, but...
The court said, you may answer.
Because the whole movement is a scam. He cheated us, lied, everything. And misled us.
Mr. Ferguson said, no further questions.
The court said, we're going to take a 10-minute break. Remember that you're not allowed to discuss the case amongst yourselves. No reading, listening to, or watching anything about the case. Ma'am, you may step out. Don't discuss your testimony.
Jury not present.
Ms. Shrofa said, Your Honor, could we excuse the witness?
The court said, you may step out.
Witness not present. Recess. At the sidebar.
The court said, so there was a point, Mr. Ferguson, where you asked the witness, were you worried about being arrested? Ms. Schroff objected. I sustained and I said, did you have any concerns? That's the question. And then you say, did you have any concerns about being arrested?
Mr. Ferguson said, I'm sorry. I apologize, Your Honor. That was not my intention.
The court said, watch yourself.
Mr. Ferguson said, I'm sorry. Truly.
The court said, all right.
Continued on next page. In open court.
The court said, let's have the witness return, please. We can bring the jurors in, please.
Jury present.
The court said, please be seated. Cross-examination.
Ms. Shrofa said, thank you, Your Honor.
Cross-examination. By Ms. Shrofa.
Ms. Lee, you testified on direct, did you not, that you thought there was no other solution to your problem? Correct?
Yes.
And you thought the only solution to your problem was for you to kill yourself, correct?
Yes.
And it's fair to say, is it not, Ms. Lee, that you in fact did find another solution?
The solution is...
You found a solution, did you not? Your solution was to contact the bankruptcy lawyer, correct?
No, at this time I thought it's...
You have to keep your voice up cause I can't hear you.
At that time I thought about my life.
But after that you found a solution, right? You're here today, right?
Mr. Ferguson said, Your Honor, objection. The witness should be allowed to answer the question.
The court said, just pause so she can answer. The question is, yes, did you find another solution?
After I realized I can't suicide because my daughter.
That wasn't my question.
Mr. Ferguson said, excuse me, Your Honor. She's cutting her off.
Ms. Shrofa said, I move to strike.
The court said, overruled. You may answer.
My question was, you found another solution, correct?
After I think about my daughter, I can't suicide, then I contact the US government.
Correct. So you found a solution. The solution was to contact the US government, correct?
Mr. Ferguson said, asked and answered.
The court said, sustained.
Which US government did you contact first?
Trustee.
Right. So you had all these thoughts, and then you found a solution. The solution was to contact the trustee, and that's the first step you took, correct?
Yes.
And you contacted the trustee, that's Luke Despens? You have to keep your voice up.
Yes.
And you contacted the trustee yourself, correct?
Yes.
And you spoke to the trustee, right?
Yes.
Did you speak by phone, or did you speak by some other method?
Online.
You spoke online. You sent him an email, is that right?
Online meeting.
You had an online meeting with him, correct?
Yes.
Did you use WebEx?
I don't know.
You don't know, or you don't remember?
I don't remember.
Who set up the meeting?
The trustee.
The trustee set up a meeting and you participated, correct?
Yes.
And you told him all of the facts that you had in your mind that you wanted to share, correct?
Yes.
And at the time you talked to the trustee, you knew that the trustee was representing an entity known as PAX, is that correct?
No.
Who did you think the trustee represented?
US government.
You thought that the trustee represented the United States government?
Yes.
Did he tell you that?
No.
Then there came a time after you contacted the bankruptcy trustee, you contacted the DOJ, correct?
Yes.
You contacted the FBI, correct?
Yes.
And then you contacted the U.S. Attorney's Office, correct? These prosecutors?
Yes.
And you did all that by yourself from Australia, correct?
Yes.
So let's start with that. How many times do you think you talked to these prosecutors?
About 10 times.
Well, let's see. Do you remember the first time was in November of 2023, November 1st? Do you remember that?
Yes.
And how was that meeting set up?
I meet with them in person.
So you met with them in person in Australia, correct?
Yes.
And then the next time you met with them was November 3rd of the same year. Do you remember that?
I don't remember.
You remember meeting with them in February 6th of 2024. Do you recall that?
I don't remember.
How about February 29th of 2024? Do you recall that?
I don't remember.
Do you recall February 29th, maybe, because that's the first time you met these prosecutors, Mr. Ferguson, Mr. Finkel, Ms. Murray, and Mr. Horton over there, the man with the beard?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I don't remember.
How about the March 1st interaction with them? Do you recall that?
I don't remember.
Do you recall sending the prosecutors documents as attachments, several documents one after another?
Yes.
And do you recall if that was on March 1st of 2024?
I don't remember.
How about March 7th? Do you remember a WebEx meeting with these prosecutors?
I don't remember.
How about March 15th sending emails to them, to Mr. Ferguson and Mr. Finkel, Ms. Murray and Mr. Horton? And then the FBI agent, do you recall that?
I don't remember.
How about March 18th, having a meeting with Mr. Ferguson? Do you recall that?
I don't remember.
How about March 21st of 2024? Do you remember that?
I don't remember.
March 25th with the FBI and AUSA Ferguson, the man who asked you questions today. Do you recall that?
I don't remember.
How about March 25th sending links and documents to the government? Do you recall that?
I don't remember.
How about March 29th? Do you recall that?
I don't remember.
How about April 11th, having a WebEx meeting with AUSA Ferguson and the FBI agent? Do you recall that?
I don't remember.
How about April 18th, 2024? Do you remember that?
I don't remember.
April 21st meeting with the FBI agents and sending emails to them. Do you remember that?
I don't remember.
How about April 23rd of 2024? You remember that?
I don't remember.
How about April 25th, 2024. Do you remember that? A WebEx meeting with Mr. Ferguson over here.
I don't remember.
How about April 28th? Do you recall that?
Mr. Ferguson said, she's not saying what happened on April 28th, Your Honor. Objection.
The court said, you're asking if she remembers a meeting with him on February 28th?
Ms. Shrofa said, I'm happy to rephrase. Do you recall, Ms. Lee, on April 28th, 2024, emailing with the U.S. Attorney's Office, Mr. Ferguson right here and FBI, documents relating to certain issues that you were researching for the United States government?
Mr. Ferguson said, Your Honor, objection to the testimony. And also to clarify if she remembers the specific date or if she remembers having emailed with the government.
The court said, my understanding is that she's asking whether she remembers on a given date that she emailed.
I remember I sent email, but I don't remember which date.
Do you remember on May 2nd, 2024, having a WebEx meeting with AUSA Ferguson, AUSA Murray, Finkel, and Horton? And by ASA I mean Assistant United States Attorneys who are at this table?
I only remember meeting with Ferguson.
You remember emailing with Mr. Ferguson on May 3rd, 2024?
I email, but I don't remember the date.
How about May 9th? Do you remember a phone call with these three prosecutors on May 9th?
I don't remember.
That's less than a month before.
I don't remember.
How about May 16th having a telephone call with Mr. Ferguson? Do you recall that phone call?
I don't remember.
How about your May 27th WebEx meeting with Mr. Ferguson, the man who questioned you today? Do you recall that?
We have meeting, but I don't remember the date.
How about the June 1st meeting? Do you recall that?
Yes.
The June 1st meeting was in person, correct?
Yes.
You met with Mr. Ferguson, correct?
Yes.
And you met with him in his office, correct?
Yes.
And after you met with him, actually, let me take that back. First, for how long did you meet with Mr. Ferguson on June?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
A few hours.
By few hours do you mean 3 hours, 5 hours?
I don't remember.
But you remember meeting with Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
And when you met with him, he was taking notes of what you were saying, correct?
I don't remember.
You don't remember seeing him take notes?
I don't remember.
Do you remember the FBI taking notes?
I don't remember.
On June 1st, when you met with Mr. Ferguson, was it in this building or the other building across the street?
I don't remember.
On June 1st, when you met with Mr. Ferguson, did you meet with him before you were given a lawyer?
Yes.
So you met with him for a couple of hours before they got you a lawyer, correct?
Yes.
And on June 1st, these gentlemen and Ms. Murray got you a lawyer, right?
Yes.
And after you got yourself a lawyer, did you then go back and talk to Mr. Ferguson?
No.
Did you talk, well, okay. Did you talk to Mr. Ferguson on June 2nd?
Yes.
And on June 2nd, did you talk to him with your lawyer or without your lawyer or both?
Without lawyer.
You talked to him without a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
They'd given you a lawyer. But you just went and met with Mr. Ferguson without your lawyer being next to you, correct?
Mr. Ferguson said, objection, asked and answered.
The court said, sustained.
You met again with Mr. Ferguson on June 4th, correct?
Yes.
What did you do on June 3rd?
Meet with Mr. Ferguson.
You met again with Mr. Ferguson on June 3rd, correct?
Yes.
And then on June 4th, you went with him on 2 meetings or just one. Do you recall?
I don't remember.
And then again you met with him on June 5th, correct?
No.
You didn't meet with him yesterday, right, before you took the stand?
Yeah, before this trial, yes.
So you met with him in the morning, right, before you took the stand? That stand right there?
Yes.
That was June 5th, and today's June 6th, correct?
Yes.
Now, from all of this time, from November 1st of 2023 to June 5th or June 6th of 2024, you and I have never met. Correct?
Yes.
You and I have never emailed with each other, correct?
Yes.
You and I have had no phone calls, correct?
Yes.
Same goes for that gentleman sitting right here named Sid Kamraju. You've never talked to him, correct?
Yes.
You've never called him, correct?
Yes.
You never emailed with him, correct?
Yes.
Zero contact with him, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, asked and answered.
And same thing with any of Mr. Guo's lawyers that you see in court today, correct?
Mr. Ferguson said, asked and answered at this point.
The court said, we've established that she has not had contact with the defense team.
Ms. Shrofa said, thank you, Your Honor. On June 4th, when you met with Mr. Ferguson, you went over a document with him, correct?
Yes.
And before you went over that document with him, I take that back. Mr. Ferguson gave you a document that you reviewed, correct?
When?
Mr. Ferguson said, objection to the vagueness.
Ms. Shrofa said, it's on June 4th.
The court said, only with respect to June 4th. Okay.
Ms. Shrofa said, I apologize, Your Honor, I missed that.
The court said, you're referring to June 4th only at this time?
Ms. Shrofa said, yes.
The court said, go ahead.
Ms. Shrofa said, Your Honor, does the court have a document on the screen? Ms. Lee, are you having any trouble looking at the document? It's only for the witness, not for the jury.
No.
Can you see the document, Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Could you take a minute and review it, please?
Yes.
And if I could just show you the second page?
Yes.
And if I could show you the third page? Do you recall receiving this document on June 4th?
Yes.
Ms. Shrofa said, Your Honor, I ask that the document be introduced into evidence as Defense Exhibit 60504.
Mr. Ferguson said, objection.
The court said, step up.
Continued on next page. At the sidebar.
The court said, what's the problem?
Mr. Ferguson said, this was an initial NPA offer, Your Honor, that was sent to Ms. Lee's lawyer. I did not discuss this document with Ms. Lee or give it to her. I assume we're going to get to a privileged conversation. She wants to ask about this draft that was sent to her lawyer, in which Ms. Lee, I understand, discussed with her lawyer. There's a later version of the NPA which I then sent to Ms. Lee's lawyer, and that's the one that was signed. This is not the one she signed.
Ms. Shrofa said, I have no intention of asking her any question at all that would even closely meander into the attorney-client privilege. I simply want to introduce the document into evidence because the scope of coverage increases. I have zero interest in asking her a single question about what her lawyer told her and what she told her lawyer.
The court said, so why is it that you're looking to introduce the draft as opposed to the final version?
Ms. Shrofa said, 2 reasons. The scope of the coverage increases.
The court said, in the second version?
Ms. Shrofa said, yes.
Mr. Ferguson said, that's true. We're fine with that.
Mr. Kamraju said, that's the reason, Your Honor.
The court said, just to show that she had a lawyer negotiating it?
Ms. Shrofa said, no, nothing about the lawyer.
Mr. Kamraju said, just that they made an offer of a non-prosecution agreement that covered a certain range of conduct. Her lawyer, cause I assumed they were not speaking to her directly, communicated with them and expanded that at the lawyer's request. It shows that they're negotiating and they increased the coverage.
The court said, which was my question just now, just to demonstrate that they negotiated?
Ms. Shrofa said, yes.
The court said, does the second agreement encompass what is in the first agreement?
Ms. Shrofa said, and expands it quite nicely.
Mr. Ferguson said, that's right. Yeah.
The court said, so what's the problem?
Mr. Ferguson said, as long as they're not going to get into, I'm concerned that we might get into her discussion with her lawyer. But if she can ask the questions in a way they don't touch on that, if Ms. Shroff can do that, we'll be okay.
Mr. Kamraju said, the witness or her lawyer can assert privilege if they think there's any question that touches on that.
The court said, the lawyer is in the room?
Mr. Ferguson said, no, I don't believe so.
Ms. Shrofa said, the lawyer also wasn't in any conversation. I'm not going to go there, Your Honor. I'm old enough to know not to go there. If I do, you can most certainly sustain the objection. That's not my intention.
The court said, okay.
Continued on next page. In open court.
The court said, overruled.
Ms. Schrofa said, Your Honor, may we publish it to the jury?
The court said, any objection as far as authentication is concerned?
Mr. Ferguson said, no objection, Your Honor.
The court said, it is admitted, and you may publish it to the jury.
Defendant's Exhibit 60504, received in evidence. By Ms. Schrofa.
Ms. Lee, if you take a look at the top portion, it says right below, if you could highlight for her. Please. It says by email, correct? And that document is dated June 2nd, correct?
Yes.
And you will note that your lawyer's name itself is misspelled, correct? Her name has two F's and they've called her Wall Wolf?
Mr. Ferguson said, objection to relevance.
The court said, if you know how her name is spelled.
Ms. Schrofa said, I'll withdraw. You recall reviewing this document, correct?
Yes.
And if I could just have you take a look at page 2 of that document. You recall reviewing this page and page 3, correct?
Yes.
And going back to page 1, if I could just have the first paragraph highlighted for you. It's fair to say, right, Ms. Lee, that you understood this agreement to be between you and the United States Attorney's Office, who are the prosecutors here, correct?
Yes.
And the document that you are looking at gives you coverage for certain entities, right?
Yes.
Rule of Law Foundation, yes?
Yes.
GTV, correct?
Yes.
G Clubs, correct?
Yes.
The Himalaya Exchange, correct?
Yes.
The Himalaya Global Alliance, correct?
Yes.
And then the new Federal State of China, correct?
Yes.
Now, if I could have that taken down, and let me show you another document which is dated June 4th. If I could just have it shown only to the witness and not to the jury, please. Thank you. Do you recognize this document, Ms. Lee?
Yes.
And could I have the last page shown to the witness? Does it bear your signature?
Yes.
Ms. Schrofa said, I ask that it be moved into evidence, Your Honor.
Mr. Ferguson said, without objection.
The court said, it is admitted.
Defendant's Exhibit 6-120 received in evidence. By Ms. Schrofa.
Now let's just stick to the first paragraph again, right? Now in this version added is Holy City Hong Kong Ventures, correct?
Yes.
G Translators is added for you, correct?
Yes.
HA Group Party Limited, correct?
Yes.
TT Resources 1 Private Limited, correct?
Yes.
Archwood Fund, correct?
Yes.
By the way, is Archwood spelled correctly?
Yes.
GV Australia, correct?
Yes.
And then you have G Fashion, correct?
Yes.
What does GFNY stand for according to you?
Another G Fashion company name.
And that's G Fashion New York, right?
Yes.
G Music, correct?
Yes.
Medical Supply, correct?
Yes.
Getter, correct?
Yes.
G Club Me, correct?
Yes.
Southern Star, correct?
Yes.
H Reserve?
Yes.
ACA Capital?
Yes.
ALFA Global Ventures?
Yes.
And the Hamilton Fund, correct?
Yes.
So this document that I'm showing you now is different from the first document I showed you a minute ago, correct?
Yes.
And you read both documents carefully, correct?
Yes.
And after you read the second document, you sign the second one and not the first one, correct?
Yes.
And when you signed this document, you went over it with Mr. Ferguson, correct? The second document now.
No.
Mr. Ferguson didn't review the document with you?
Mr. Ferguson said, objection, Your Honor. We're getting into the area I was concerned about.
The court said, overruled.
Ms. Schrofa said, he has a privilege with the witness?
The court said, did he review the document with you?
Mr. Ferguson said, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
No, with the lawyer.
You never discussed this document with Mr. Ferguson directly?
No.
And the document itself is on United States Attorney's letterhead, correct? If somebody could point that out for her, right?
Yes.
And then the signature is signed by the prosecutors on this table, right?
Yes.
Micah Ferguson, Ryan Finkel, Juliana Murray, and Justin Horton, these four, correct?
Yes.
And the person who signed it is Micah Ferguson, right?
Yes.
And this is an agreement between you and his office, right?
Yes.
And this agreement gives you what is called coverage, right? It is a promise by them that they won't prosecute you, correct?
If I provide everything truth.
We'll get to the truth part. Don't worry. They provide you coverage, right?
Yes.
I just want to make sure. The agreement is between you and the government, no one else?
Yes.
And they decide if you're telling the truth or not, correct?
No.
Really?
Mr. Ferguson said, "Objection, Your Honor."
The court said, overruled.
When you met with them,
I decide myself.
you decide yourself?
Yes.
So if you decide you're telling the truth and if they decide you are lying, all that matters is that you're telling the truth?
No.
So it matters what they think about what you are saying, correct?
No.
When you met with them in the proffer sessions each time they talked to you, they told you to tell them the truth, right?
No.
Okay. Do you recall testifying on direct and you were asked a question and you said, if you were to lie here, the government could tear up your non-prosecution agreement, correct?
Yes.
They're the ones who could tear it up, correct?
No.
Well, who else could tear it up? I can't tear it up, right?
The court said, don't testify.
Could I tear up your cooperation agreement?
No.
Could the judge tear up your cooperation agreement?
Mr. Ferguson said, "Objection."
The court said, it's not a proper question.
The only people who could tear up your cooperation agreement is Mr. Ferguson, the man who's standing up. Right?
Mr. Ferguson said, asked and answered.
No.
You tell me who else can tear up your cooperation agreement?
I don't know.
Mr. Ferguson said, "Your Honor, it's not a cooperation agreement."
Ms. Schrofa said, I apologize. The non-prosecution agreement. My apologies. You don't know who else could tear it up. Is that your testimony?
Mr. Ferguson said, asked and answered.
I don't know.
The court said, overruled.
I don't know.
Ms. Schrofa said, if I could just have the witness look at page 2, and if I could just have the paragraph that says, it is understood that if the government. Could you highlight that for her? Could you take a minute and read that for me? You ready?
Yeah.
It is understood that if the government has determined that, it really should be Ms. Lee, has committed any crime after signing this agreement or has given false, incomplete, or misleading testimony, I'm just going to stop there for a minute.
Mr. Ferguson said, "Your Honor, if Ms. Schroff could refer to her as Ms. Lee and Ms. Lai."
Ms. Schrofa said, Ms. Lee. Ms. Lee. The first sentence leads you to conclude, what about the word government? Who's the government in this sentence?
U.S. government.
And in your understanding of U.S. government in this line is Mr. Ferguson, right?
No.
Then who?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah, I don't know.
But it is the government that decides if you have committed any crimes after signing this agreement. Correct?
Yes.
And it is the government that decides if you give false testimony, correct?
No.
The court said, is there a question?
It is the government that decides if your testimony is complete or incomplete, correct?
I don't know.
It is the government who decides whether your testimony has been misleading or accurate, correct?
I don't know.
Okay, let's look at the next paragraph. The next paragraph tells you that the agreement does not bind any federal, state, or local prosecuting authority other than this office, correct?
Yes.
And this office is the office in the Southern District of New York, correct?
Yes.
And then it says, the office will, however, bring the cooperation of Ms. Lee to the attention of other prosecuting offices if requested by you, correct?
Yes.
And then it says in the last paragraph, With respect to this matter, the agreement supersedes all prior, if any, understandings, promises, and/or conditions between this office and you, correct?
Yes.
So the agreement is between two of you, the U.S. Attorney's Office and you, right?
Yes.
And then, if you could scroll down, please, for her. This document was signed by you, correct?
Yes.
And it was signed by a lawyer, correct?
Yes.
And it was joined on June 4th, correct?
Yes.
And after you signed this document, did you go back and meet with Mr. Ferguson?
I don't remember.
And as far as you're concerned, it is your understanding of this document, correct? That the U.S. Attorney's Office is not going to prosecute you, correct?
Unless I tell the truth.
But they're not going to prosecute you subject to whatever conditions that are in this agreement, right?
Yes.
And you put that agreement in place before you testified at trial here today, right? And yesterday?
Yes.
Now, Ms. Lee, you testified on direct that you have spent a substantial amount of your life in Australia, correct?
Yes.
And you have a degree in accounting, is that right?
Yes.
And what was your undergraduate degree in, by the way?
International trade.
International trade. Was that at a university in China?
Yes.
Could you tell the jury, please, what your master's degree was in?
Accounting.
And what courses did you take as a master's student in accounting?
Accounting course.
How long was your master's program?
About 2 years.
And which university did you take this 2-year program at?
In Australia.
Which university?
Mr. Ferguson said, Your Honor, objection to relevance.
The court said, overruled. You can say the name of the university you attended for your master's degree.
Macquarie.
And did you get any CPA licenses after you graduated from your master's program?
Yes.
What licenses did you get? And really, Ms. Lee, could you please keep your voice up for me?
CPA.
I could not hear that.
CPA.
And you worked as a chartered public accountant. That's a CPA, right?
Yes.
And to be a CPA in Australia, you have to abide by certain rules, correct?
Yes.
And you have to renew your licenses every year, correct?
Yes.
And you have to fill out forms to make sure your license is renewed, correct?
Yes.
And you did that, right?
Yes.
And you worked as an accountant, correct?
Yes.
Accounting work is work that requires care, correct?
Yes.
It requires accuracy, correct?
Yes.
It requires attention to detail, correct?
Yes.
And you had all of that while you were doing your job, right?
Yes.
And you worked at several accounting companies, correct?
Yes.
And, in fact, you work at one now, right? I don't need the name. But you work at an accounting company now, right?
Yes.
And as part and parcel of your work, you filled out tax forms for people, correct?
Yes.
And did you also do taxes for institutions or just individuals?
Both.
I cannot hear you.
Both.
And even now you do taxes for both individuals as well as institutions, correct?
Yes.
And especially for institutional taxes, these are complicated tax returns, correct?
No, they're the small business.
But they require consideration and care, right?
Yes.
And you were an accountant when you first started listening to broadcast of Miles Guo, right?
Sorry. Can you say that again?
Sure. When you first started listening to broadcast by Miles Guo, you were working as an accountant, correct?
Yes.
And the first time you listened to a broadcast by Miles Guo, was that in 2016 or 2017?
2017.
In 2017, correct?
Yes.
And you testified that the way you ran into a Miles Guo broadcast is because a friend of yours had asked you to investigate the death of some child in China, correct?
Yes.
And your friend chose you to investigate that, correct?
Yes.
She asked for your help, correct?
Yes.
And you agreed to help her, correct?
Yes.
And you investigated that issue carefully, correct?
Yes.
You wanted your friend to have accurate information, correct?
Yes.
You took steps to make sure you got accurate information, correct?
Yes.
And then you gave it to her, correct?
Yes.
And when you were doing all of that is when you first saw a broadcast by Mr. Guo, correct?
Before.
Okay. You saw it before?
Yeah.
And that's when you started listening to the broadcast, correct?
No.
Okay. Did you start listening to the broadcast before you saw that?
Yes.
Can you tell us how?
Mr. Ferguson said, Your Honor, if we could just clarify the question on what is it?
Ms. Schrofa said, the broadcast.
Mr. Ferguson said, Which broadcast, Your Honor?
By Ms. Schrofa.
The very first broadcast, Ms. Lee?
VOA interview.
So the first time you saw Mr. Guo was when he did the VOA interview. Is that your testimony?
Yes.
And let's talk about the VOA interview. Was that an interview that was streamed live? Do you remember?
Yes.
And did you actually watch it live, or did you watch a later rerun?
Live.
You watched it live from Australia, correct?
Yes.
And when you watched it live, you saw it was interrupted.
Yes, it been cut off.
It was cut off, correct?
Yes.
And after it was cut off, it did not pick back up, right?
Yes.
The interview was terminated, correct?
Yes.
The interviewer was a woman named Sasha Gong, correct?
Yes.
And you later learned, did you not, that Sasha Gong had been fired for interviewing Mr. Miles Guo and broadcasted it on VOA?
Yes.
And you were not surprised by that because you knew that the CCP does things like that, correct?
That's Miles Guo said.
That wasn't my question. My question was whether you know the CCP to do things like that?
I don't know.
Do you know if the CCP welcomes pro-democracy speeches?
Sorry.
You're familiar with the CCP, correct?
I'm not familiar.
You're not familiar with the CCP?
No.
So when you testified on direct about your thoughts of the CCP and them visiting people in China, that gave you no familiarity of what CCP is. That's your testimony?
That time, yeah, I don't familiar.
That time you were not familiar with what is the CCP?
Yeah.
What does the CCP stand for?
Chinese Communist Party.
It's not a democracy, right?
Yeah.
China is not a democracy, correct?
Yes.
And it wasn't a democracy in 2014 or 2016 when you listened to Voice of America, correct?
Mr. Ferguson said, Objection to form, Your Honor. She's asking compound questions.
The court said, it is a compound question.
In 2016, when you listened to the Voice of America interview, was China a democracy?
In 2017?
Uh-huh.
No.
So when you watched the Voice of America interview, you knew that it was possible that it was the CCP that interrupted that interview, correct?
I don't know.
In 2016, you had family in China, correct?
Mr. Ferguson said, Objection. She's misstating the year. The witness testified 2017.
The court said, are we talking about 2017 or 2016?
Ms. Schrofa said, I'm happy to ask about 2017. In 2017, you had family in China, correct?
Yes.
And in 2017, you would not have publicly spoken out against the CCP, correct?
Yes.
And in 2018, you wouldn't speak out publicly against the CCP, correct?
2018 after following Miles Guo, I started, since 2017. So after I follow Miles Guo, I started.
You started publicly speaking out against the CCP?
Yeah, on Twitter.
On Twitter?
Yeah.
When you spoke out against the CCP on Twitter, what name did you use?
Mulan TWHE.
That's not your name, right?
No.
So you didn't use your real name, correct?
Yeah.
You did not show your face, correct?
Yes.
You used a handle, correct?
Yes.
You made up a handle in the name of Mulan, correct?
Yes.
You chose the name Mulan, correct?
Yes.
You chose the name Mulan because Mulan represents a woman fighting as a man, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Guo didn't choose that name, correct?
Yes.
In fact, when you picked that name, you didn't even know Mr. Guo, correct?
Mr. Ferguson said, Objection.
No, I already know him.
So you picked the name Mulan, right?
Yes.
You went on Twitter, correct?
Yes.
And you posted as Mulan, correct?
Yes.
And that's not you publicly speaking out against the CCP, correct?
Mr. Ferguson said, objection, asked and answered. We object to the badgering, Your Honor.
The court said, it's slightly different. You can answer that question.
Sorry. Can you repeat the question? Can you repeat it again?
When you posted on Twitter against the CCP, you did not use your real name, right?
Yes.
And you did not use your real name because you was scared that the CCP would have a reaction to that, correct?
Yes.
And you were scared of the CCP, correct?
Yes.
So you knew that the CCP could hurt you if you spoke out against the CCP, right?
Yes.
And logically someone else could be worried that there would be a reaction to them speaking out against the CCP?
Mr. Ferguson said, objection.
The court said, sustained as to what somebody else might be worried about.
So going back to the VOA interview. The interview was interrupted, right?
Yes.
That was the first time that you saw Miles Guo. Am I correct or am I wrong?
Correct.
I'm correct, right?
Yes.
That's the first time you saw it?
Yes.
And after you watched the interview, you researched Miles Guo is that right?
I didn't research. I followed him.
How did you find him?
On YouTube and Twitter.
Right. So you looked for him on YouTube, correct?
Yes.
And then you looked for him on Twitter, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Guo didn't call you up and say follow me on YouTube, correct?
He said in the broadcast.
But you hadn't seen a broadcast yet. You just said you want a Voice of America interview, and then you went to YouTube, and then you went to Twitter?
Yes.
So you looked for him, right?
Yeah, in YouTube. In YouTube video he said follow the Twitter, so I find the Twitter account.
Right. But you went to YouTube all on your own, right?
Yes.
And you learned at some point, did you not, that Mr. Guo's YouTube account had been shut down, right?
Not shut down.
Mr. Guo's YouTube account had never been shut down?
No, just no live broadcast.
I didn't understand that, Your Honor.
The function, so no live broadcast function, but the YouTube account is there.
So if Mr. Guo wanted to live broadcast on YouTube, he couldn't do that, correct?
He can do at the beginning, and a few months later this function be shut down.
I really didn't get that.
The court said, you can read back the answer.
Record was read.
So at some point in 2017, Mr. Guo could no longer live broadcast on YouTube, correct?
Yes.
And the Twitter account that he had was also shut down in 2017, correct?
I don't remember exactly which year.
You cannot remember what?
I cannot remember exactly which year.
But you knew at some point his Twitter account was also shut down, correct?
Yes.
And so where did you follow and look for the broadcast for Mr. Guo?
Another social media platform.
What's that?
I don't remember the name. It's also very popular platform, and also another platform called Livestream.
Livestream?
Yeah.
Well, he was never on TikTok, right?
No.
So he wasn't on Instagram, correct?
Yeah, another one is Instagram.
Your testimony is Mr. Guo was on Instagram?
Yes.
So you saw him on Instagram, correct? Did you follow him on Instagram?
Yes.
How many followers did he have on Instagram in 2017?
I don't remember.
How about 2018?
I don't remember.
2019?
I don't remember.
Do you know if in 2019 he even had an Instagram?
Yes, even now still have.
Even now he still has an Instagram account?
Yes.
And you still follow it even now, right? Because that's the only way you'd know?
I'm not following now.
Then how would you know it's still active? I'll move on. You testified also on direct, did you not? That you decided to bake a cake for Miles Guo's birthday, correct?
Yes.
I want to make sure. At that time when you baked that cake, you did not know Miles Guo personally, right?
What do you mean personal?
You never met him in a group chat, correct?
No.
I cannot hear you.
Not group chat, only Twitter.
Right. So Twitter is not meeting somebody? Actually, I withdraw that. On Twitter you followed him, correct?
Yes.
And on Twitter he had never direct messaged you, correct?
Yes, I have direct message.
I didn't ask if you have direct message. My question to you, Ms. Lee, was at the time you baked the cake. Had Mr. Guo direct messaged you on Twitter? That was the question.
Mr. Ferguson said, and it was asked and answered.
The court said, overruled.
Can you say it again?
You testified on direct that you decided to bake a cake for Mr. Guo's birthday, correct?
Yes.
And obviously sitting here today you remember his birthday, correct?
Yes.
And you baked that cake, correct?
Yes.
And at the time that you did that, Mr. Guo had never direct messaged you, correct? Correct, right?
No, direct message me through Twitter.
He direct messaged you through Twitter before you baked the cake. That's your testimony?
Yes.
So you baked this case, and you gave it to the leader of the Melbourne farm. That was your testimony on direct. Correct?
No, at that time no farm yet.
To the group?
Yeah.
What was the group, by the way?
The supporters group.
Which supporters group?
Melbourne supporters group.
And the supporters group was for the whistleblower movement, correct?
Yes.
So you gave him the birthday cake, right?
Yes.
He took a photo and he sent it to the Miles Guo according to you, right?
Yes.
And according to you, Mr. Guo thanked you for baking the cake, correct?
Yes.
And that is how you started interacting with Miles Guo according to you, right?
Interacting on WhatsApp.
He invited you to a WhatsApp group, correct?
Yes.
And you started talking on the WhatsApp group, right?
Yes.
Ms. Lee, is it fair to say that the group on WhatsApp consisted of 100+ people?
I don't remember.
You don't remember how many people were in that WhatsApp group?
Initially about 20.
You think initially there were only 20 people in the WhatsApp group?
Yeah.
Do you recall any of the other 19?
I don't recall.
So the number 20 on the WhatsApp group became larger, correct?
Yes.
And you were just one of many people on that WhatsApp group, right?
Yes.
There were people on that WhatsApp group that volunteered in different areas, correct?
Yes.
People volunteered to translate, correct?
Yes.
People volunteered to make banners, correct?
Yes.
People volunteered to cook and hold festivals, correct?
I don't remember.
Each person had equal say or equal talk in this group, correct?
Yes.
And it was a group, so you didn't really know who was answering, correct?
They show their name.
Right. But you don't know if Mr. Guo was running his own account or if somebody was running his account for him, correct?
No, that's Miles Guo because it has voice message, it's him.
But when you had anything other than a voice message, you wouldn't know who was running that account. Right? It's all right. We can move forward. There came a point, right, Ms. Lee, that you decided to volunteer as a translator, right?
Yes.
And when you volunteered as a translator, you would translate documents. Is it from Mandarin to English or also from English to Mandarin?
Yes, both.
You did both, correct?
Yes.
And you did both because you're fluent in both languages, correct?
Yes.
And you translated broadcast that Mr. Guo put together, correct?
Yes.
And you testified on direct that you also translated legal documents, correct?
Yes.
What legal documents did you translate?
Related to Miles Guo.
Okay, but what were they?
I don't remember the details.
But you remember them being legal documents, correct?
Yes.
You would agree with me legal documents can be technical, correct?
Yes.
And you were able to translate them, right?
I try my best.
And you read them in one language, and you translate them into another, right?
Yes.
And you obviously had done a good job because you became a leader of the translator group, correct?
The court said, do you think you did a good job?
The witness said, yes.
And then you became a leader of the translator group, correct?
Yes.
And how many people were in your translator group?
Initially only 10.
10 people, right?
Yeah.
So you supervised 10 people doing translations, correct?
Yes.
And then it grew, correct?
Yeah.
And as it grew, you continued to supervise those people, correct?
Yes.
And there came a point, did there not, where you were reimbursed for supervising these people who were translating, correct?
No.
You never got any money for running the group?
From 2021 July, Rule of Law stopped funding all the farms.
I didn't ask you if they were funding all the farms. My question to you is whether you got paid for running the translator group?
Yes.
Okay. How much did you get paid?
10 grand.
10 grand, right? And that's 10 grand a month, not 10 grand a year?
Yes.
So 10 grand a month, 12 months in a year, correct?
Yes.
And you could decide what to do with those 10 grand, right?
Yes.
Nobody told you how you had to spend it, right?
Yes.
You could keep it all yourself, correct?
Yes.
You could distribute it, correct?
Yes.
And to date, nobody has ever asked you for any accounting on that 10 grand that you got for years, correct?
Can you say it again?
Sure. Nobody asked you to send them an itemized bill of how you spent that money, correct?
I send invoice to Rule of Law.
No. You sent different bills to Rule of Law. My question to you is on the 10 grand.
Mr. Ferguson said, Your Honor, first of all, she testified, and it's been asked and answered now.
The court said, sustained.
Do you recall sitting here today? I withdraw. You got paid 10 grand to be the leader of the translator group, correct?
Mr. Ferguson said, asked and answered, Your Honor.
The court said, sustained.
How many people in 2020 did you supervise?
Hundreds.
You supervised hundreds of people who were translating. Is that your testimony?
Yes.
And could you tell me what is it exactly that you supervised?
So I get task from Miles Guo. I send the task to my group members.
The only person who ever gave you a task to translate is Miles Guo. That's your testimony?
Mostly from Miles Guo directly.
Is it fair to say, ma'am, that there were hundreds of other translators in other farms doing exactly the same thing?
Not exactly same, no.
They were translating, correct?
Yes.
Translating from Mandarin to English, correct?
Yes.
And English to Mandarin, correct?
Yes.
Same thing?
No.
How is it different?
We translate more legal document and more important task.
That's your opinion, correct?
No, Miles Guo told to me.
So Miles Guo may have told you that, but at the end that's your opinion, correct?
Mr. Ferguson said, Your Honor, objection.
The court said, sustained.
Miles Guo told you that you were the one translating important documents, correct?
Yes.
What important document did you translate?
Many, I don't remember.
Tell me one. I'll move on. Now you also testified. Did you not on direct that Mr. Guo was the one who asked you to become a director at Rule of Law Foundation, correct? That was your testimony?
Yes.
And is it fair to say that Mr. Guo actually just asked you if you would like to be a director on the Rule of Law Foundation? That's what he asked you, right?
Mr. Ferguson said, Your Honor, she should be allowed to answer first.
The court said, please answer.
He said I pick you to be the Rule of Law Foundation director.
So he said he picked you to be Rule of Law Foundation director, and you said yes. Is that your testimony?
Yes.
Was he on the Rule of Law Foundation board?
No.
Did he tell you how he had the authority to do any such thing?
No.
There were other directors on the Rule of Law Foundation board, correct?
Yes.
In fact, the government showed you a document, right, with the names of the people including Bill Gertz, correct?
Yes.
Do you know Bill Gertz?
Yes.
Who's Bill Gertz?
He's a journalist in U.S.
And he was a director, right?
Yes.
Somebody named John Morgan was a director, correct?
No.
John Morgan wasn't a director?
Not of Rule of Law.
Who else was a director of Rule of Law Foundation?
Kyle Bass.
What was Kyle Bass' role on the Rule of Law Foundation?
Chairman of Rule of Law Foundation.
Who else was on the Rule of Law Foundation?
I don't remember.
How about Mr. Bannon?
He is Rule of Law Society chairman.
He had nothing to do with Rule of Law Foundation, correct?
Yes.
Who else was on the Rule of Law Foundation directorship? There were 5 of you, right?
Mr. Ferguson said, she asked this and the witness said she doesn't remember.
Ms. Shrofa said, we'll find a document that will refresh her recollection. Sarah Li Hong was on the board, is that correct?
I don't remember.
How about Mr. Feng Feng?
I don't remember.
For how long were you a director of the Rule of Law Foundation?
From beginning to last year.
Do you remember somebody named Victor Serta being on the Rule of Law Foundation?
Yes.
And what was his role?
Director.
He was one of the directors just like you, correct?
Yes.
And as a director of the Rule of Law Foundation you attended board meetings, correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Guo was not at those board meetings, correct?
Yes.
I'm correct, or he was there, which one?
You're correct, not on the meeting.
And there were scheduled board meetings by the Rule of Law Foundation, right?
Yes.
Minutes of those meetings were taken, correct?
Yes.
People took notes and then wrote up formal board meeting notes, correct?
I don't know. I don't take the notes.
Those meeting notes were available to you as a director, correct?
I don't remember.
And as a director, you never asked Rule of Law Foundation for any of their financial paperwork, correct?
Yes.
And, in fact, you had no authority to ask for the Rule of Law Foundation paperwork, correct?
I don't know.
You don't know what authority you had as a director of the Rule of Law Foundation?
I only know I can vote.
And you did vote, right?
Yeah.
Matters were put before you, correct?
Yes.
And you chose how to vote, correct?
I consult with Miles Guo.
Excuse me.
I consult with Miles Guo.
You consulted with Miles Guo before voting on the board?
Yes.
And that was your decision to consult with him?
He said I can ask him.
Exactly. He said you can ask him if you want, correct?
Sometimes he give me direction.
Direction to what?
How to vote.
On what?
On some issues.
Tell us, what issue?
I don't remember.
You do not remember a single issue on which Miles Guo told you how to vote?
I don't remember.
The Rule of Law Foundation supported people in the Ukraine, correct?
Yes.
Did Mr. Guo tell you how to vote on that issue?
I don't remember.
The Rule of Law Foundation helped people when they were stranded because they were targeted as anti-CCP, correct?
We rescue all Chinese people.
And you voted on those rescues, correct?
I don't remember.
You voted on distributing PPE during the pandemic, correct?
I don't remember.
There were proposals on whether PPE should be sent to hospitals, correct?
I don't know.
Whether PPE should be donated to people in China, correct?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Whether PPE should be provided to the New York Police Department, correct?
I don't remember.
So sitting here today, you do not remember a single thing that you voted on as a director of the Rule of Law Foundation? I'll move on. Now, one of the functions of the WhatsApp group was to allow people to complain if they had a complaint, correct?
Can you repeat again?
Sure. One of the functions of the WhatsApp group was to allow people to complain if they had a complaint, correct?
No.
So, if you had a concern, you could not raise it in the WhatsApp group?
Yes.
You could raise it, correct?
Yes.
And people raised complaints, right?
Yes.
People complained about you, correct?
Yes.
People complained you were mean, correct?
I don't remember.
You don't remember people who were translating for you complained that you were mean to them about their work product?
I don't remember.
You don't remember people complaining in the WhatsApp group that you were rude to them?
I don't remember.
Do you remember those complaints being raised when you were part of the IBG group?
Sorry. Can you repeat?
Let me show you what we have marked as a defense exhibit. Do you see a photo on your screen, ma'am?
Yes.
And do you recognize the people in that photograph?
Yes.
And who are they?
Miles Guo and Fei Fei.
Ms. Shrofa said, Your Honor, may I move the document and the / photograph into evidence?
Mr. Ferguson said, objection just to relevance.
The court said, overruled. I'm admitting it. Go ahead.
By Ms. Shrofa.
That's Fei Fei, correct?
Yes.
You did not get along with Fei Fei, right? Ms. Schrofa said, I'm sorry. I forgot to pub.
Defendant's Exhibit 60496 received in evidence. By Ms. Schrofa.
That's Fei Fei, and she's one of the supporters, right?
Yes.
And she's also in the IBG group?
What's IBG group?
You don't know what the IBG group is? You don't know what IBG is?
Mr. Ferguson said, Your Honor, could she stop with the commentary, please?
The court said, so the witness has said she does not know what the IBG group is. Please continue your questions.
Was she a member of the Iron Blood group?
Yes.
So IBG is the Iron Blood group, right?
We don't call IBG group, just Iron Blood group.
Iron Blood group, right?
Yes.
And she was a member of that, right?
Yes.
And you did not get along with her, correct?
No.
You fought with her, correct?
Sorry.
You and Fei Fei did not get along in the Iron Blood group, correct?
No.
Let me show you what is marked as Defense Exhibit 60497. Do you see that, ma'am?
Yes.
Who is that a photograph of?
Lei and Li.
Who is she?
Cornfield's sister.
Could you keep your voice up for me?
Cornfield's sister.
Her name is also Lian, correct?
Yes.
And you recognize this photo, right?
Yes. Please.
Ms. Schrofa said, Your Honor, I move it into evidence.
The court said, it is admitted.
Defendant's Exhibit 60497 received in evidence.
The court said, and we have reached 3 o'clock, so we're going to stop for the day. Remember that you're not permitted to discuss the case amongst yourselves or with anyone else. Don't permit anyone to discuss the case in your presence, and don't read, watch, or listen to you anything from any source concerning anything about this case. Have a good evening, and see you tomorrow morning ready for you to walk in at 9 a.m.
Continued on next page. Jury not present.
The court said, Ms. Lee, you can step out. Don't discuss the case.
The witness said, Okay, thank you. Witness temporarily excused.
The court said, please be seated. Ms. Schroff, how long do you expect your cross-exam to go tomorrow?
Ms. Schrofa said, maybe 2 hours. How long was the direct?
The court said, I don't recall.
Ms. Schrofa said, me either, Your Honor, but I will try to keep it short. I will try.
The court said, okay. And you have other witnesses lined up for tomorrow?
Mr. Ferguson said, We do, Your Honor.
The court said, anything before we break?
Mr. Ferguson said, just very briefly, Your Honor. I appreciate Your Honor's comments at the sidebar. I just wanted to say one brief thing. I didn't want to leave a misimpression with the court for what I was thinking with that question. I had understood that the problem with the question was there was something loaded with the term worried. And the testimony right before that was Ms. Lee being told they were going to arrest them all. And so I had thought, was told. The problem with the question that's leading is there's no foundation in evidence. And so I had thought there was a foundation of evidence for asking her what she was concerned about was being arrested. But that she had just been told. That was it, Your Honor. And I appreciate the sidebar. And I apologize for any misimpression.
The court said, all right. Have a good evening.
Adjourned to June 7, 2024 at 9 a.m.